All right. I hope you guys are ready for a fun show today. Man, was last night good. Oh, for all of you guys that came and hung out, and watched the Gray Pill podcast that I popped onto to do something a little different. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys showing up. Love you guys representing. I hope I represented you guys well. I hope I did okay. I came in a little hot. I'll be honest with you guys. I was told that there was going to be multiple Trump supporters that were showing up, and it kind of is more like some kind of on the fence Trump supporters. But of course, like a couple people that a little more left leaning or independent leaning had some things that they said at the beginning. I really enjoy my boy Mandrell. He's a good dude. He is a both sides are bad guy, but he's a good dude. And he caught a stray. I jumped right in there. I was like, I'll debate you. Yeah, I don't do this stuff. A long time ago, I had a problem with physical confrontation. Getting in physical confrontations that I shouldn't be getting into. And now it's switched over to me getting into verbal confrontations that I really like. I get real worked up. Get real excited. And I was excited, and I thought I had to come in swinging. I thought I was going to fight the whole room. And, obviously, pretty quickly there, Mandrell was like, dude, like, not necessary. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the debate format. I know my side of it, my channel was messed up. My audio is really low. I'm still trying to figure out how to stream when I'm on somebody else's channel back to my channel. So I'm still figuring out that portion of it. I used to do Gray Pill show pretty often. Not like super often, but like once every couple weeks. We'll probably get back to doing that just to like mix things up. He does like some like dramedy, and he does some kind of red pill stuff, talking about dumbasses like Andrew Tate and stuff. That's where I know most of the stuff I know about Andrew Tate from. And also it gives me a little practice at trying to figure out how to stream, dual stream things. But anyways, yeah. What's up, everybody? What's up, R's wife? What's up, Dark? What's up, Doc? What's up, Golf? What's up, Nana? What's up, Mike? Yeah, I love the pets getting eaten thing. Good God, that was amazing. That was amazing. And I think I said this last night, but if you weren't there last night to hear this, look, eating dogs, eating cats. I'm not with that. I know some cultures are. I'm perfectly fine with your culture doing what you're doing. I'm not down with that. But eating geese? Fuck geese. Okay? Fuck geese. I hope they eat all the geese. All right? Geese are a bunch of dickheads. They are not nice animals, and if immigrants were to find a life hack of going down to the local park and helping to call the local wildlife, I support that. Okay? I know it's not real. Of course it's not real. Yeah, and duck is delicious. I think they're just mad. I think they didn't think about it. They're like, wait, you can just take those ducks? I could have been eating duck this whole time. They're just mad. The state of Ohio is giving these people $600 a month food cards. Yeah, they don't need ducks. Yeah, exactly. I hate geese, man. Oh, you okay, R's wife? Hope you're doing all right. Not like the COVID or anything like that. I had the COVID. It wasn't pretty. I hope you're doing okay. I hope it was entertaining as well. Shut up, Bob. Bob, you just mad. You just mad they figured out the life hack. So y'all are just mad. What up, Liz? You gotta get a surgery? Oof. I don't like hospitals. I hate hospitals. I'm not a fan. I'm going to be that guy that should have went to the hospital that didn't go to the hospital. I hate hospitals. I like doctors, though. Just don't like hospitals. Yeah, the whole thing about this, which is really funny, is I'm all for, like, some good political comedy, some good political dramedy. And look, when people were like, I think J.D. Vance might have fucked a couch, I was with that. First of all, I did believe it at first, because J.D. Vance is a weird dude, and it seemed like something he might do. Just gonna throw that out there. It seemed like it was, okay? So I fell for it. Within a day, news came out that, it might have been made up. He still hasn't proven that he didn't fuck that couch, okay? So allegedly is what I'm gonna say, all right? J.D. Vance came out, and they're like, look, he looked up dolphin porn, which he did. Now, he said it was to show his wife that it existed. That sounds like a convenient excuse, allegedly, okay? But those things are victimless crimes, because J.D. Vance is a public figure, and we're allowed to make fun of him as much as we want. That's a law. I hope you guys know that. It's actually a really messed up law, because you can DM like celebrities like the most fucked up shit, and they can't do anything about it, because like you're allowed to like mock, and they're allowed to approach them and stuff like that. There's a bunch of things they do with like celebrity that you're allowed to do that you can't do with normal people. And this is like the right wing was like, they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should do something like that. Hey, what's in the news that we can accuse like some people on the left of? And they're like, well, there was this lady, she ate a cat, which is weird as fuck, by the way. This lady stomped on the head of a cat and then was caught eating it in the driveway. First of all, not Springfield, Ohio. Cat in Ohio, okay? Look, it's in Ohio, so we knew it would be somewhere in Ohio, okay? That's understandable. But it's a weird thing. And the body cam footage for it is crazy. And like I said, what I hate about our political atmosphere is that we've changed this into like a time where you can't pass around a crazy video anymore. Somebody on the right wing's got to turn it into, it was immigrants that did that shit. We could all be laughing at this. We could all be having a good time talking about this, but we can't now, because the right went and like made up a crazy story about Haitians doing it. And this is my problem with this. It's one thing to have like a dude fucked a couch story. That's funny, right? And then the right wing gets a hold of stuff, and they're just bad at comedy. And so they're like, yeah, you know what we're going to do? We're going to say immigrants eat the animals. And they're like, yeah, you're going to get people hurt, dog. First of all, you go back about 20 years, y'all are already saying like all these Asians were doing that shit. So it's just racist to begin with, okay? All right? And then you just like repeat it, but this time you do it where there's no actual evidence that shit happened. It's my only problem with that. It's like they just suck at everything. They are so tired of winning. So tired of winning. You have a bunion that's out of control? I'm sorry, Golf. That sounds painful. Flipper? I love Flipper too. Flipper is a great name for J.D. Vance. Like I said, you can't prove that he didn't. That's all I'm saying. Dude. Just be eating cats, apparently, you know? Look, that lady, she was having a day. Did I see the source for it? Yeah. I watched the video. What up, Jeannie? I went and watched the video on the cat eating. I looked the lady up, Alexis Farrell, I think was their name, allegedly. And they are currently going through a mental health issue, okay? So I'm not trying to hate on the lady. I'm just saying, please don't kill my cat and eat it. But just for clarification, it had nothing to do with Haitian immigrants. It just so happens if you're a right-wing person right now, anything bad that happens, you have to attach immigrants did this. One of the best parts of the one of the best parts. Oh, is that you mean where it originated? Yeah, I saw that. Charlie Kirk, right? Charlie Kirk and what's the other guy's name? The fucking troll-looking dude. Ugliest man on earth. What's his name? Chang or Chung? Oh, shit. Now I sound racist. Yeah, it's an X tweet. Yeah. Oh, man. They had stomach surgery years ago that went bad and they needed to fix it. Oh, I am sorry, R's wife. I have a very terrible stomach, I am probably going to be right there with you soon enough, my friend. We will be discussing our bad stomach ailments together, my friend. I hope you do. Hope everything goes good for you with your surgery. So a couple things that happened, and I just want to kind of get these out of the way before we start getting into the videos, because what I want to do is I want to cover some of the craziest moments from the debate last night, because I thought that was hilarious. And then I also got a couple videos that I want to watch tonight with you guys. But in crazy ass news, you guys know that I'm reading the Joe Moore book right now, Broken Badges and White Robes. And that's obviously about the Ku Klux Klan and Joe Moore infiltrating the Ku Klux Klan during a time that they were going to assassinate Barack Obama. And the way that he actually got them to call off the assassination of Barack Obama in 2009 was he actually, they were soliciting advice from him because he's a former Army sniper. They're soliciting advice from him about, like, you know, what they should do and everything. And he actually went to them and said, like, there's Predator drones in the air. I can see the dots. I've seen them around. And the guy's like, well, what does that mean? He goes, well, they're loaded with these types of missiles. They can hit a nickel from like 10,000 feet in the sky. He's like, if you even get seen trying to do this, they will take you out. And a really cool story. So if you guys, this is not a paid promotion. This is just a book that I'm reading. That's really dope. I like the book. It's he's not an author. So the language is a little repetitive. I will say that. If there's any, like, if I knocked 1 star off the book, it would be that some of the language is pretty repetitive. But the stories themselves about him infiltrating the Ku Klux Klan, stopping the assassination of Barack Obama, how it really actually makes sense what's going on with the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, and MAGA right now, and how they have a really white nationalist portion of their movement. Really good book for all that. But anyways, turns out that just recently, it looks like in Sacramento, California, a federal grand jury handed up an indictment against 2 alleged leaders of a transnational white supremacist group. One of them, an Elk Grove woman, accused of soliciting their followers on the messaging app Telegram to assassinate federal officials and commit hate crimes, federal prosecutors said Monday. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because if you guys don't know, I do have a video on a Trump supporter that was torturing monkeys. And one of the craziest things that I found out in researching this video is how open Telegram is. So, like, just recently, Telegram's CEO or its founder was arrested in France, right? And I'm not sure what the charges he's going to be brought up on, but a lot of what he was talking about was that, like, no, like, they definitely, you know, monitor up to the law. They do what they're supposed to do. All bullshit. In researching the monkey torture video, I found that Telegram actually does not monitor any of the things happening on their app. When approached and asked about things like child solicitation, Telegram says it would be against our users' First Amendment rights for us to monitor the things that they do on our app. So when people come in here and they're like, it's so messed up what's happening to the Telegram guy. Oh, like, this is infringement. So you're free. First of all, it's not. It's not an infringement of your free speech. It's not an infringement of your free speech at all. You don't understand the First Amendment if you believe that, and I'm not going to explain it to you. But here's the thing. Everything that's going on in that app, well, okay, not everything. A portion of what's going on in that app is highly illegal and bad for society. If people are soliciting minors on that app, that's against the law. If people are torturing monkeys, which we know they were, some of these people, you should take a look at that video, some of the pictures of some of these people. Also, just so you guys know, the guy who was running the monkey torture ring, white supremacist. And I actually point out the clues to why you know he's a white supremacist in the video. So go check out that video. But this whole, like, you know, right-wing, you know, like, they're surprised. Oh, why would they arrest this person? He's just allowing people to use their freedom of speech. No, he's not monitoring a business that he has set up that people are using to solicit minors, to torture animals, and to apparently attempt to get race wars started by having federal officials murdered and people to commit hate crimes. That's not your first right. That's not in your First Amendment right to do that. He turned himself in because Russia uses Telegram for military comms. I heard that. I did not hear that, but I will look that up. I heard that he was arrested when he touched down in France. I mean, maybe that's a little bit different. What up, Dustin? Yeah, right? Yeah. I just... Oh, Kirk's dad worked for Trump? Is that true? Yeah, Doc. Predator drones do not require your participation to kill you. Ain't that the truth? So Matthew Robert Allison of Boise, Idaho, of course. Where's Fatty at when I need him? Fatty would tell you guys all about all the white supremacist enclaves in Idaho. Matthew Robert Allison of Boise, Idaho, and Dallas Aaron Humber, 34, of Elk Grove, faced 15 counts of charges related to conspiracy of soliciting hate crimes, soliciting the murder of federal officials, doxing federal officials, distributing information related to explosives and destructive devices, and conspiracy to provide material support to terrorists. Both defendants urged their followers to kill protected classes and develop a so-called saint culture by celebrating previous terrorist attackers, said Assistant U.S. Attorney General Kristen Clark of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Their words were consumed by a 19-year-old Slovakia man who shot through 3 people, 2 of them fatal, at an LGBTQ plus bar in Bratislava. Where is Bratislava? I don't even know. So they're even doing this like, transnationally. Of course, that makes sense. The man killed himself while being pursued by police. The defendant's goal, the indictment charges, was to ignite a race war, accelerate the collapse of what they viewed as an irreparably corrupt government, and bring about a white ethno-state. So in reading Joe Moore's book, you find that the Ku Klux Klan no longer is this group of people that are doing like really like base level gang shit. Like we were talking just a little bit ago about the Venezuelan gangs, right? And how like the things that people are saying they're doing are a little bit outside, just a little bit outside of what those gangs generally do. Like the KKK, for the most part, was considered the invisible empire. It was different enclaves that didn't speak to each other and kind of sowed chaos and division amongst the populace. And they've always had a little bit of the same idea of what they're doing, but much more now. Now they have this grand idea, and their grand idea is that they're going to create division amongst the races in America, and this is what happened during Obama's 2009 inauguration. They said the best thing that ever happened to him was that he didn't assassinate Barack Obama because their numbers swelled because of all the racism that came from the Michael Brown killing in Ferguson and Barack Obama being elected in 2009. So their whole idea now is that they are going to actually create a second civil war, create division, angst, and chaos in the populace to the point where people start destroying each other and potentially, for them, hopefully, the government. And then they have people in place, specifically in the police department and in certain government jobs, that they believe are going to enable them to pretty much do what Trump wants to do with Schedule F and the administrative wing, and that is to position their own people within the government so that way the KKK can take over America and create a ethno-state. If you don't believe me, buy Joe Moore's book. Like I said, I don't get paid for this. It's a book I've been reading. I advise anybody to read it. It's eye-opening. It's only about 250 pages. Not even a quarter the size of the Mandate of Leadership from Project 2025, so you should be able to cruise right through it. But read the book. This is the goal of the KKK right now. It is not to just randomly, attack, black people or immigrants or whatever. It is a concerted effort to sow division all the way through the highest levels of America in the hopes that they will one day be able to replace the government with a white ethno-state. Absolutely fucking nuts. Yeah, we're going to, you weren't here, Mike. I did it with somebody else. I was with somebody else. Oh, Bratislava is the capital of Slovakia. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna get to the debate parts. I just want to cover a little bit of the news first, woke Mike. Calm it down, woke. Jesus, I just want to cover the news. I just got home. Okay, this is my reading the newspaper. You guys probably get to read the newspaper or read the internet a little bit more than I do. This is my reading the newspaper. Okay. Allison and Humber joined a messaging group named the Terrorgram Collective. Seems like a group you might want to monitor. That aimed to spur a white revolution and domination after the group's previous leader was arrested, federal prosecutors said. The pair created a digital book called The Hard Reset, which explained the Terrorgram ideology while providing detailed instructions to make bombs using napalm, thermite, chlorine gas, pipe bombs, and dirty bombs, according to the indictment. Humber created an audiobook version of The Hard Reset to disseminate among the followers. That's where we're at in 2024. Our terrorists and white supremacist groups are now making audiobooks for their followers because they know Trump supporters can't read. That's not in the article, just so you guys know. I said that. The group created a list of high-value targets, which included a U.S. senator, U.S. district court judge, and a former United States attorney for assassination. The list included the victims' home addresses, names, and photographs, according to the indictment. Victims on the so-called The List were accompanied by comments such as, "Take action now," "Do your part." It also describes their targets as an anti-white, anti-gun Jewish senator and labels a judge as an invader from a foreign country, according to the indictment. How much you want to make up that's Juan Merchan? That sounds exactly like what Trump called him. Messages on Telegram spoke cruelly of protected classes. In one message, Humber called Pride Month the F-slur month. Said on June 1st, 2023, there are better ways than fighting back economically, and listed mass shootings, arsons, bombing, and vehicular attacks, according to the indictment. What's more impactful, boycotting Target or getting dozens of targets in your sights and taking them out permanently? Humber wrote, according to the indictment, actions speak louder than words. Along with this message, Humber sent a message showing a photograph from the mass shooting at the LGBT nightclub Pulse that killed that's badly worded. Nightclub Pulse shooting that killed 49 people in Orlando, Florida in June 2016. Alongside mass casualty attacks, messages on Telegram urged followers to attack critical infrastructure and gave tips for what to expect while preparing for an attack. So this is just like what I'm saying is this isn't just mass shootings. Like they're talking about attacking energy facilities. Luckily, an attacker and an FBI undercover agent allegedly planned 2 attacks at different electrical substations. So luckily, the FBI is infiltrating these groups and getting to them before they cause harm. That's actually, I mean, it's insane that that's where we're at. So anyways, like, I just wanted to bring this one up because, like I said, I'm reading this book and I'm becoming a little bit, like, more in tune with this kind of stuff. This other one I wanted to show you guys because I was cracking up at. I saw this. Let's see. Here you go. Florida man punches guy for saying his Challenger is nice. All right, Florida viewers. Was this one of you guys? You know who this is? Do any of you guys remember 1LE? I wonder if any of you guys were around when 1LE was coming in. Bob is probably 1LE. I bet you Bob is 1LE. 1LE had a car for a profile picture, and I used to make fun of him every time he comes in. Dashcam footage shows a Florida man punch another driver after receiving a compliment on his Dodge Challenger. It's not a way to thank someone for saying something nice, but Florida is a weird place, and we've come to expect extraordinary things from it. Polk County Sheriff's Office shared the dashcam footage on social media to help bring the suspect, 53-year-old John Sturgeon, in after a warrant was issued for his arrest. So let's just take a look at this. This is amazing. Here we go. Can we get a full screen on this bad boy? Oh, the computer is not liking this. No, just wait. Here we go. Let's get a full screen.
Anything.
You want to clap? You big tough guy?
I'm trying to tell you, nice car, bro. I like your car.
You better pay attention.
Hold on.
You
want to clap? You big tough guy?
I'm trying to tell you, nice car, bro. I like your car.
You better pay attention.
Man.
That's some roid rage right there, guys. That's that roid rage right there. Oh, you didn't get to see him. I guess he got punched off camera. Well, that's okay. That means I won't get any kind of tick for that or strike for that. Jesus Christ. One more time. My computer is not. I just updated a bunch of stuff, and my computer is not liking this right now. What is going on, Florida? What is going on in Florida, guys? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? All right. Here we go. We're going to watch what were some of my favorite moments from the Trump-Kamala Harris debate last night. There was so many good moments. I laughed so hard at so many things, but there are some definite real good ones that I just thought, we got to go over this again today. We got to watch this one more time. If you guys got some that you guys love too, please make sure to put them in the chat, and we'll go find them in the transcript, and we will watch them. So this first one is actually just a Lincoln Project video. And look, this is what happened. Trump made it about 3 minutes. I'm sure he's heard that before. Trump made it about 3 minutes before he blew his load, okay? He made it about 3 minutes just sitting there and stewing, and the fuse was lit with these comments that Kamala Harris is about to make about Trump's rally size. And you can tell by Trump's face just looking at this gentleman right here. You can see that this man is already goddamn annoyed. You can tell that this man is holding it all back. Someone said to Donald Trump, "Sir, she's going to try and bait you, and you got to not fall for it, sir." And he was like, "I can do that. No problem. I'm the best at it." And that shit lasted about 3 to 3.5 minutes, just like all of his sexual encounters. So this is the beginning of the end for Trump. And this was not far into it. Oh, here we go. One more second.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
This is the best part. He nods. Right here, he nods at that. Like, he's like, yes, they do. Actually, she's not wrong about that. They do it quite often. Watch the nod. Watch the nod. Dude, why are we lagging on the volume here?
Is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Dude, so that's my favorite
Streamline
part there.
the
but
way
let's
you
get
search
the,
for process with
so
Z2 Data's
let's get the reaction though. Let's get the reaction from him, because that right there was the beginning of the end for Trump in this debate. That was just the beginning of this man's his fuse being lit,
point of how he
and it just being completely off the rails. From this point on, like, he does not. And one of the things I really like that she says at the very beginning, she goes, "This man," she says, "This man is going to say to you, no matter what the subject is, he's going to tell you something about immigration every single time." And it was so amazing how she called him on that, and he went back to it over and over and over again, regardless of the fact that she called him out for it. It was absolutely amazing. All right, let's see if we can find where that was. Okay, here we go. Here it is. Here we go. Let's go back to this part right here.
Actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your
This is
response.
Well, I would like to
amazing.
respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies.
So this is the first time he's asked about immigration, which is like his main talking point, and he can't help himself. He's like, I don't even want to talk about immigration. No. First, we're going to talk about my rallies. You know that there are people behind the scenes right now. They are just like, no! No! Like they know 100% what he's about to do.
Rallies early out of
Oh, my
exhaustion
God.
and boredom. And I
Thanks,
will tell
Goff.
you, the
What up,
one thing
Lady
you
Freedom?
will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams,
What up,
and
Mark?
your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you
Look, he's
first, and
so
I pledge to
mad.
you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there. And
look at
then
her. I love
showing
this.
them
She's
in a
like, "Thank
different
you
light."
so much.
So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing.
The biggest rallies, the best rallies. No one leaves my rallies. I love her facial expressions throughout this debate were some of the most gold expressions that I have ever seen. Somebody said to me today, actually, they said Barack Obama had the better looks. We're gonna have to go back and we have to compare Barack Obama, Mitt Romney versus Trump, Kamala, because somebody said Barack's were better, and I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Not for 1 second.
Nation, and it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and
Dude.
look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be a
Oh, here it
rural
is.
or
Okay.
Springfield. A lot of towns.
Hold on. This is where we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the next part of this, and I have this clip already queued. So we're gonna get to that one in a second. Because I want to make my way through the clips as we go here. That's amazing though. That right there, like that was the beginning of the end for Donald Trump. Oh crap! Now I'm like, where am I?
Has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we
Look
must
at
do
him.
to uphold
That
the
tight-lipped-
strength.
Hey, how many of you guys watched The Boys? How many of you guys watched The Boys? And how many of you guys know that Homelander is like taken from Donald Trump? And ask yourself this the next time you're watching The Boys and you see Homelander in those moments when he's really upset that somebody's saying something about him or they're giving credit to somebody else, like his kid, when they're giving credit to his kid, and he gets that smile on his face that's like, I am not happy right now. He does that shit. Like, I need to put a picture of Donald Trump smiling that smile right next to Homelander, because it is spot on. Spot on.
And the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So
Yeah, this is
if you
this
take
is
a look
about-
at that period of time,
This is the
Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got
Which is not
involved
true.
with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan.
But like, the fact that people think this guy is smart, the Taliban, they're the fighting force. Like, people don't need half this shit explained to them, dog. They're killing them with snipers. Lots of them. There was lots of them. There's another point in this debate where he talks about the war in Russia, and starts telling people that millions of people are dying in the Ukraine and Russia right now. The millions of people, they won't tell you the real numbers. They won't tell you them. There's millions of people right now dying in Russia. It's so crazy.
And they don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved.
That look right there from her.
And Abdul is the head of the Taliban.
part.
He is still the head of the Taliban.
All right, guys, help me out. Did he make that shit up? Did he just, reach for, the closest brown name he could find? Was he about to say Jamal? And he was like, Abdul's better. They'll believe it if I say Abdul. None of my supporters are going to fact check this. They'll believe me. Abdul was the coolest guy. Oh. What up, Andrew?
I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems.
I said,
And
no
he
way.
Said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to fix
Oh, my God. Donald Trump talks like he's in, a cell phone text message, a messaging group with the fucking leader of the Taliban. He's like, and then I sent him 3 memes. And he was like, why are you sending me these memes? And I was like, figure it out. If you look at the 3 memes together, it's a clue to what I'm saying. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Barack Hussein Obama.
Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The
It's the
reason
best agreement.
it was good, it was... We were getting out. We would have been out faster than that, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment.
And he lies so much that it's exhausting, right? So if you actually look at the pullout of Afghanistan, first of all, 100%. He went through and negotiated with a terrorist organization. When Donald Trump was in office, there was 10,000 soldiers. He added 3,000 soldiers. So at 13,000 soldiers in Afghanistan. So all the people that are like, Donald Trump never started another war. No, but he participated in 3 or 4. So yeah, there were wars going on and Donald Trump was in them. He increased the soldiers in Afghanistan by 3,000. So it took us to about 13,000. He then invited a terrorist group on today, the anniversary of 9/11, to sit down and have talks at Camp David. To sit down and have talks at Camp David with a terrorist group without the Afghanistan government involved at all. Where he decided that he would then trade off 5,000 Taliban soldiers. 400 of them were such bad criminals that the Afghani government, we weren't even capable of forcing them. Donald Trump pressured them. Mike Pompeo pressured them to release these prisoners. And the Afghani government was like, fine, I guess we have to, because we were threatened to withhold aid. Fine, I guess we have to, but we don't want to release these 400 because they're gnarly. They're bad people. And they're talking about they're worse than other terrorists. They're like, those 4,600 terrorists, bad. These 400, really, 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 really bad. And Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump are like, you have to do it. We've already told them. The deal's already signed. You weren't there. Sorry. Not sorry. So they end up releasing these 400 individuals that are gnarly fucking terrorists, potentially part of ISIS-K. Then they slowly draw down the amount of troops to 2,500 troops, leaving us at a disadvantage, an incredible disadvantage to a terrorist group that Donald Trump, for some stupid-ass reason, thought would keep their word. They're terrorists, dog! They run planes into buildings! They blow themselves up in the middle of groups of people! You thought they were gonna keep to a contract? He's a moron. He's a moron. He then made the agreement that we would be out by the end of April 2021. This is obviously, at this point, he believes he's still going to be in office. He believes he's going to be the person that gets the troops out. Then there's a certain number of times, I think it's twice, where he made cutoff dates. I want to say one was September or December, and then the other one was January 20th of 2021, in which we would have the troops out of there. Both of those, he declined to pull the troops out by. Why? Why? Because he lost the election. He then put Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and all the U.S. soldiers that were still over there in danger. He left them with the worst possible, no plan, zero plan, worst possible scenario to get those troops out of there alive. And Joe Biden went through and asked people over and over again, including Mark Milley, whether or not he should continue and try to get them out by August, was what they were trying to do. And Donald Trump blames them, says they broke the agreement. This is how much of an idiot Donald Trump is. This is how unpatriotic Donald Trump is. He doesn't say a bunch of terrorists killed American soldiers, and that's horrific. No, what Donald Trump says is the terrorists were just sticking to their deal. They killed those American soldiers because we said we get, so that's our fault. That's our fault. And then he shows up at Arlington Cemetery for a photo op with people that are being used. Those people that died, and by the way, it wasn't just 13 American soldiers. There was like 67 Afghani civilians that died that day. There was like another, I can't remember how many people, but there was a bunch of other people that got injured as well. Like, it was not a good thing. And for a former president to take no accountability, no responsibility at all for a deal that he made, that he got to about 90% completion, and then he stalled on purpose so the next president would fail at it, is insane that anybody would ever want to vote for this guy. It's insane. Literal insanity. No, I 100% disagree, Andrew. 100. I know that we had to get out of Afghanistan. I understand that. But the way it was done without the Afghani government being involved was ridiculous. You do not negotiate with a terrorist group to leave a government that you have been defending for 20 years. We have propped up for 20 years. Now, you can complain that we were there for 20 years. I'll complain with you. I will agree with you 100% that we shouldn't have been over there for that long. But you can't be there for 20 years and then go, oh, pulling out. Oh, and by the way, you don't get to be a part of these negotiations. You can't do that. You can't do that. That makes the people that we make alliances with around the world go, oh, these people don't follow through. Well, they will if it's terrorist groups. If you deal with the terrorists, which, by the way, side note, okay? Side note, one of the funniest stories of the last couple of years was of the Taliban having to get desk jobs. You can't write this shit, right? Like, it's like a sitcom. And I think there should be a sitcom made about this. But there's an article. I can't remember what the name of the article is, but you should look it up. It's about the Taliban taking over Afghanistan and then having to get administrative jobs. And there's literally dudes that are like, I kind of want to go back to living in a cave and fighting for Allah. He's like, I got 6 reports due by Wednesday. My fucking boss is writing me. No shit. I'm not even making this part up. He was like, traffic is terrible. The dude was complaining about his kids being on social media apps. I was like, holy shit. There might actually be a God. No, I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Andrew. I think me and you are probably somewhere in the middle on this. I agree with you that you don't 100% not talk to terrorist groups. It's the way that Trump went about it that I dislike. I'm not saying you can't ever sit down at the table with another group, because even when you look at terrorist groups, not all terrorist groups are really what we would consider terrorist groups, right? I mean, Taliban are bad fucking people. ISIS is bad fucking people. Religious zealotry in terrorizers, bad fucking people. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you've got to be able to have conversations across the table with your adversaries in positions, but you got to be in a position of power. Donald Trump did not have that conversation from a position of power. He did not include his allies. He did not do a good job of obviously passing the baton to the next president. I think my conflict with how Donald Trump handled this isn't so much with the speaking to the terrorists, but inviting them to Camp David is insane. That, have that fucking meeting somewhere else. That's like, you're like, hey, you guys want to come on down to the 9/11 memorial? Are you Osama bin Laden's son? Would you like to, let's go to McDonald's. There's a sweet McDonald's right next to the 9/11 memorial. And then we'll head over there. We'll have some Big Macs. And then we'll talk about a peace deal on the fucking bodies of our American citizens that you guys murdered. No, you can't have it at Camp David. There's just too much. Too much. It's insanity. What up, Perry? Like a golf said. All right. So now I don't know where I'm at with these clips, so we're just going to play them and see where we're at. What is this one? I guess I could look up the transcript, huh? Oh, this is the eating the pets one. This is amazing. Okay, so before we get into this, let's just take a look at this, because I saw this before the debate. MAGA launches most unbelievable conspiracy yet. And I was like, there's no way that there could be another MAGA conspiracy that blows my mind. My mind has been blown. There's no more blowing to happen. I got nothing left. And there was more. And there was more. The MAGA right, including Republican vice presidential candidate J.V. Vance, are spreading a racist rumor that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio are capturing, cooking, and eating people's pet cats and ducks. Once again, if they were capturing ducks, I'd actually applaud that. Just throwing that out there. Right-wingers seem to have conflated a report from Canton, Ohio of a woman who was arrested for allegedly killing and eating a cat. Crazy fucking video. You guys can watch that. It might even be on here. With complaints from residents in Springfield, more than 170 miles away from Canton. The woman is a U.S. citizen, and there's no indication that she is a Haitian immigrant. Meanwhile, police in Springfield say they have received no reports of pets being stolen and eaten. The newspaper says that the rumor began from a local Facebook group where a poster claimed that her neighbor's daughter's friend lost her pet cat and found it hanging from a tree branch at a Haitian neighbor's home to be carved and eaten. And I just have to point out, how many parallels that can be drawn between the United States of the 1920s and 50s, before the Civil Rights Act, and the things that were put on black people and on gay people, and the claims of Satanism and all this other crazy shit. If you can't see the parallels that I am drawing between what is being said about these immigrants and the fear of the other that was happening back in those days and still to this day is happening, but obviously now it's against immigrants apparently this year, specifically Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This is insane. This isn't a joke. This isn't like a ha-ha, J.D. Vance fucked the couch. This is putting people in a place where some of these Haitian people that live in these places are like, this is actually what these people think about us. They think we steal their cats and eat them. That's not a good thing, and no one, specifically people in our government, should ever encourage that. That's insanity. And also, X is a weird place. It is just a weird place. It is. House Judiciary Committee Republican members, former Donald Trump advisor Stephen Miller, Representative Mike Collins, Elon Musk, commentator Charlie Kirk, Conspiracy theorist Jack Posobiec, influencer, that's his name, Ian Miles Chong, and many others have all picked up and spread the rumor, in some cases with bizarre AI-generated images of Donald Trump holding cats and ducks. We live in such a strange time. We live in such a strange time. Stephen Miller said, we've reached the point in Kamala's migrant invasion where the migrants are stealing and eating American pets. Jesus Christ. They're in a park grabbing up ducks by the neck and eating them, says Rep. Mike Collins. Charlie Kirk, residents of Springfield, Ohio are reporting that Haitians are eating their family pets. Another gift of the Biden-Harris mass immigration replacement plan. Liberals will soon be lecturing Americans on why they need to be sensitive to Haitian culture and accept this as the new normal. Those idiots deserve to be condemned and mocked mercilessly. You know what idiot needs to be condemned and mocked mercilessly? Charlie fucking Kirk. That's who should be condemned and mocked mercilessly. And if Kamala Harris, or when Kamala Harris wins in 2024, we will never forget. We will, on 9/11, never forget. We will never forget the dumb shit that these people said. Because I guarantee you this, when Trump loses, every one of these dipshits is going to make for the hills figuratively, because they're not going to leave. They're just going to go, I never really supported Donald Trump. I never really believed all the crazy stuff he said. I just reported on it. I was just giving my opinion. But we're not going to forget, because all of this shit is on the internet, and it will be on the internet forever. So, remember that, guys. Anyways, so now we're going to get to the clip of Donald Trump, who apparently Donald Trump prepared for this debate with Kamala Harris by reading Twitter. I think that they were like, Tulsi Gabbard was back there and she's like, hit her on the 1500, hit her on the not releasing people, hit her on the DNA evidence. And the whole time Trump was just on his phone, just like scrolling Twitter. And he was like, yep, prosecutor, got it. 1500, got it. DNA evidence, got it. Ooh, what's that? Ooh. Like, this dude came in prepped with Twitter comments. That's it. That is so scary that a man that is only polling at a 2% deficit in an aggregate poll came to a debate armed with tweets. We should be afraid of this. Oh my God. Anyways, this is him talking about it. Hope you guys are ready for this. Let's go back a little bit because I know my audio is going to mess up.
Allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating.
Hold on, one more time. Like, you have to replay each one of these moments because you have to look at Trump and focus on Trump saying it, and then you have to have a replay of it and watch Kamala Harris's face. Like, she can't believe this man is committing career suicide in front of everybody. She is just like, I never thought it would be this easy. No one told me he was going to just do this to himself. Jesus Christ. It is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen. And I have watched this for 2 years. 2 years. 2 years I've been watching this man. And this is quite possibly the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed.
Like, you think right now she's thinking, she's like, no way he's going to say it. Do you think she's looking at him right now and just being like, do you think she's going, where is he going with this? Or do you think she knows where he's going with this? Like, she's been reading the Twitter posts and she's like, no fucking way. No way he does this right now.
by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they
went
go
back to
is
the
they
rallies.
like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase. Make
Wait.
America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes
Like, why does he repeat things like that? Why does he say, it's a simple phrase, make America great again? He, like, just says the thoughts that come into his mind. He has no idea. Like, these people are like, he's so good when he's off the teleprompter. Kamala Harris sucks. Boy, she's going to get wrecked. Oh, you have no idea. She's not going to have notes. We're not going to let her stand on a box so everybody knows she's only 5'4". That's right. We owned her. She's only 5'4". Take that, Kamala Harris. You're not even black. It is a weird reality that you live in when they think this man is intelligent, well-spoken, and does a good job off-prompter. And then you go, what don't you like about Kamala Harris? They're like, she's short and she's black. And she can't talk well. It's fucking insane. Oh.
president, this country doesn't have
I
a
did not
chance
read on.
of success.
I did not.
Not only success, will end up being Venezuela on steroids.
Hey, California homeowner, did you know that
We're going to be Venezuela on steroids, boys.
PG&E is now the most expensive electricity provider?
Wait, wouldn't that be like a better Venezuela? Wouldn't Venezuela actually
I just
be
want
better
to
if it was
clarify
on
here. You bring up
steroids?
Springfield, Ohio, and ABC
Okay.
News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've
this-
seen people on television.
Let me just say here.
Oh,
People on
this is
television
a
say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good.
Yeah.
Donald Trump did not fact check any of this. Donald Trump didn't look at a single fucking fact check. He just, like I said, he was on X before the show, and he's like, ooh, that's a good one. Oh, yeah, that's a good meme. He just came out, just bullets in the chamber, never checked to make sure the safety was on. He just went right for it, man. Absolutely stunning. Stunning. Insane.
Thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people are
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you
We'll
respond to the rest of
find
what you
out,
heard.
he says.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this
I'm
election
dying.
I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans
with my
who
computer
had
right now?
formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John.
Please stop. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Hold on. Oh, you want the Discord information? Hey, Redonk, can you give him a Discord invite? Can you give Andrew the Discord, Redonk? I'd really appreciate you. Love you, buddy. Okay. I don't know why my computer keeps giving me this warning that, like, it's like it can't do this right now. Stop doing this, computer. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's the pet eating moment. That's one of my favorites. That's definitely one of my favorites there. Did we watch this one? I'm lost now. I don't know which ones we've watched now. There was so
I
many
just don't
good
want to
ones.
talk about it because they're so
Yeah,
embarrassing.
that's the pet eating. Okay, that's the pet eating. Okay. God, it's so amazing.
Dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about.
Just look at him. He is stewing so goddamn hard. He is just like, he's doing the shoulder thing. He's gripping the edges of the goddamn podium. This man, he is about to have a stroke. I saw somebody say, Donald Trump is darker than Kamala with that orange makeup. Like, you think he did that on purpose? Like, they were spraying him with the orange shit, and he was like, make it darker. I want to be blacker. Or oranger. It's the same thing. Oh, orange is the new black. Oh, man.
Belittling.
There you go, Andrew.
And name calling.
Redonk just posted it for you,
Let's
Andrew.
turn the page.
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy. Let's turn back to policy.
Move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy, please.
She has a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move on
to
to
not.
other-
That was one of my favorites. Oh, dude, we were dying so hard at this point. She's gonna confiscate all the guns. All of them. Dude, do you know, like, how impossible that is? Like, I keep trying to tell Trump supporters this. When you say you're going to deport all the immigrants, that's not feasible. It's not, logistically speaking, do you know how much money it would cost us to deport every undocumented immigrant out of America? It would be insane. We don't have the enforcement for that. We don't, like, what are you going to do to find all these undocumented... The plausibility of deporting all the undocumented immigrants in America, specifically if you're a Trump supporter. Trump supporters want to say there's like 40 million undocumented immigrants in America. Like, they legitimately believe that. Can you imagine the amount of enforcement that you would need to deport 40 million people from America? The same thing goes, and I've said this before, if you are a left-wing person that is like, we need to take all the guns from these people, if you're that far left that you're like, all the guns need to be taken, which, by the way, I've actually never heard somebody say, but maybe there's somebody out there that believes that shit. If you're that person, it's not feasible. It's not probable. It's not logical. What we need to do is have common sense gun laws. We need to have red flag laws. We need to have universal background checks, which people have pointed out before. They exist in most of the states. All of these things are things that we can do to make things better. We can do what Biden did with the bipartisan gun legislation that he passed, I want to say in 2023, where we improve mental health facilities. We improve mental health facilities at the high schools, at the schools. These are the things that we can do to actually make an impact in this. Saying things like they're going to confiscate all the guns, it's not plausible. And if you are falling for that rhetoric that Democrats are going to steal your guns, they're going to come and take all your guns, you're a moron. It just needs to be said. Somebody needs to reach out to you and just tell you, have like an intervention with you, sit down with you and go. They need to just ask you the question, do you think Kamala Harris is going to take all your guns? She's going to confiscate every gun in America? And if you look at them and you go, yeah, that's exactly what they plan to do. They're communists. That person needs to look at you and just hand on the leg, just go, you're a moron. I love you. I appreciate you. You're a moron. That's what you need in your life. That's what you need in your life. You guys can't see my hand underneath the TV or under the screen. That looks funny. It's hyperbolic. And the fact that people fall for this shit is just insane to me. I can't believe that people fall for this stuff. Let's get that confiscated one more time.
For young families, for the first year of your child's life, to help
Right,
you
Bucket?
in that most critical stage of your
You have the
child's
wooden
development.
acoustic
I
guns.
have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue
LaVon,
what has
don't
been
get too brown,
fleeting
bro.
in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment
Bucket.
assistance for first-time home
Bucket,
buyers.
don't make fun of my audio
That's the
issues.
kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate
What a
everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay,
That's what her
None
plan
of that
is
is
until
true.
just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond because
Trump,
no, the
President
former
Trump,
president has said
no, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I
going
just
to
need
move
respond
on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this is
multiple
now your
Yes.
third time running for president.
Dude, one of the knocks on Kamala right now, for all my right-wing friends, my conservative viewers, my conspiracy theorists, one of the knocks on Kamala right now is that her viewpoints are too centrist, that they're erring towards the right side. She said during the DNC speech that she was willing to push through James Lankford's border bill. That border bill is a Republican's wet dream when it comes to the border. It is the very, I guarantee you, if Donald Trump is elected, that's the bill they'll try and push through. But if they don't have the Senate or House majority, it won't go through. Guess why? Because you decided to toss it out the window when you had the chance, and you can't get it through now. You're going to need to have either the House or the Senate or both. Pretty much you're going to have both. Her views are not communist. They're not, like, she has some pretty progressive stuff that I like. I like the way that she has, as a prosecutor, has dealt with gun violence. I like the way that she talks about legalizing marijuana on a federal level. There are some things that she is pretty progressive about, and I like those things. But to act like Kamala Harris is some kind of hard left communist is insanity, and it just shows how much of an idiot the people that believe this shit are, how gullible they are, how easily manipulated they are. Kamala Harris is not a progressive candidate. She is a left-wing candidate that is currently trying to get right-wing votes. She's not going to ban fracking. They know not to. Right now, where the economy is, I don't agree with fracking. I don't agree with massive amounts of oil production. But I do understand that because of where the economy was coming out of COVID, it was necessary to reach the level of oil production that we did. I don't think that America should continue along in that path. That's not due to any kind of financial reasoning. It's not due to any economical reasoning. I just don't think it's good for us or for the planet for us to continue to use those fossil fuels at the levels that we do now. We're never going to stop using fossil fuels. Once again, that's going to confiscate your guns. No one's confiscating your gas car. Nobody's making it illegal for you to use a gas car. That's hyperbolic. It doesn't exist. It's nowhere in anybody's legislation. And once again, if you believe that shit, you're gullible and easily manipulated. It's absolutely insane. Yeah, exactly. The only progressive to ever, what Andrew just said, the only progressive to ever brag about getting endorsed by a bunch of Republicans, 200 Republicans, Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney. I mean, Adam Kinzinger, not a bad dude. I don't know what his policy values are, though, because I don't know much about Adam Kinzinger. He just seems like a nice guy, and he's pretty funny. But I don't know what his conservative values are. But I highly doubt that there is a hard left-wing progressive candidate that would be out there being like, dude, Liz Cheney, dude, Dick Cheney. Jesus Christ. It's insane. It's insane that people think that that's a progressive candidate. Anyways. Do we have any other ones? Let's see if this might be one. What is this one? Oh, no, this is where he talks about Abdul. That was Abdul. We already did Abdul. We did Abdul already. Did we watch this one too?
On McCain, including the endorsement
go.
of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
There you go.
And
That's where she talks.
Congressmember
Good
Liz
call,
Cheney.
Andrew.
And if you want to
Spot
really
on,
know
Andrew.
the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already,
Sorry,
just ask
Andrew.
people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a
Look at
four-star
him.
general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former
He is
national security
dying.
advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit.
Oy.
His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric,
You know the one place that she didn't hit him on? She should have hit him on during this portion of the speech. And she should have pointed out that RFK wrote the most scathing tweet of all time about a political candidate opponent. It was like 8 paragraphs going like policy for policy why Donald Trump is the worst possible pick for the president of the United States. And that wasn't 5 years ago. That wasn't 2 years ago. It wasn't a year ago. It was 4 months ago. It was 4 months ago. Back in May, RFK said Donald Trump is completely unfit to be the president of the United States and was one of the worst presidents of all time. She should have said that. She should have brought that part into it. The guy that's supporting you right now doesn't think that you should be the president. Oh, God, it was... But still, just giving her credit. She did amazing. Whoops.
we listen to this kind of rhetoric when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you, because when I hear that,
Jumps in so
see, I'm a
hard.
different kind of a person. I fired most
Oh,
of those
yeah,
people.
Vance said too, Nana.
Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't.
This is such a weird point of view. And I've gone over this in one of my videos that I made that I put out. A good leader doesn't talk about who they fire. That's not, you shouldn't be proud of firing people. You should do such a good job of hiring people and retaining people that you don't ever have to talk to people about how many people you've fired. You should always be on the tilt of keeping people on your team. You want, like, if you're just looking at it from like the most bare basic thing, you want them to be experienced. You want them to have the job and do the job and continue to be in the job for long periods of time, because the longer they're in that job, the better they do. Now, if you've got a bunch of people that you hired, which Donald Trump did, you hired to be in those positions, and then they continually fail at the job, you know who failed? It wasn't the employee, it was you. As the hiring manager, your job is to interview people and discern whether or not they are the person that you want the most to do the job. And by the way, this guy doesn't work at a natural food store. This guy works for the U.S. government in the highest position in the entire country. He's not on ZipRecruiter. He's not on Indeed. He's not just picking from 30 people that used to work at fucking Burgers and Cream or fucking McDonald's. No. He is picking from anybody that he could possibly want that can stand him. And he still sucked at it. And this is the dude that's a good businessman? Because he fires people? That's ridiculous. That's insane. And you should never, as a leader, brag about firing the people you hired.
In this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond
Yeah.
here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad
Not
things
so
or a bad job.
graciously.
I fired them. They never fired one
Jesus
person. They didn't fire
Christ.
anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were
No,
just
they fired
killed
you.
viciously and
They
violently
did fire
killed.
you.
And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another.
And like I said, so you hired these people, and then they did a bad job, and then you fired these people. And that happened for 4 years. 4 years of him hiring and firing people until he had his family in the places that he wanted them to be. Have you ever worked in a business where a bunch of people that used to work there get fired and then they replace them with their family? Tell me how good of a working environment it would be to be one of the people that's not part of that family. Gonna guess it was a pretty bad working environment.
One writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they? But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books.
And that's because we avoided the recession. Every economist going into 2021, 22, 23, 24 was forecasting insanely high unemployment numbers and a recession. And instead what we got from that is a 3.4% unemployment rate, which was lower than Donald Trump's 3.5 by 0.1, okay? And we avoided a recession. By the way, when Donald Trump keeps talking about inflation, Donald Trump's inflation numbers were between 1.2 and 2.8%. The reason that he ever got to 1.2% was because in 2020, we locked down the country. The entire country locked down. Nobody was going outside. Nobody was buying gas. Guess where the $1.77 number comes from when he talks about the lowest gas prices? Just so happens to be 2020, when nobody was allowed to go anywhere. I remember driving to work during COVID and there not being a single person on the road. Every number that he uses as his best numbers just so happened to be in the year that we locked everything down. Now, on the other side of that, Joe Biden was handed a government that literally he had to fight for, that Donald Trump tried to fight to keep, tried to overturn an election, tried to commit treason, allegedly. And with that hand, he was given a pandemic that Donald Trump asked, could you inject disinfectant into the lungs to make it work? Could you perhaps get UV inside of a person to make it go away? That claimed it would all be gone by Easter. That said, one person was caught in the bay off a plane and the disease is contained. A person that out in public was telling people that it wasn't that big of a deal, while behind the scenes in audio phone calls was telling people that he knew that it was really, really bad. And he handed that all over to Joe Biden, and yet somehow, here in 2024, we have an inflation rate that's damn near the same as Donald Trump's was between 2017 and 2019. He's full of shit. He's full of shit. Okay, so that's going to be the coverage for the debate. And it was a fun debate. It was an amazing debate. I'll give Donald Trump a little bit of credit here. Donald Trump is a very fun person to watch get his ass handed to him. I had a good time when I watched Joe Biden do it. I had a good time when I watched Hillary Clinton do it. And I had a good time when I saw Kamala Harris do it. It was absolutely amazing. So, great debate. It ain't over yet, though, guys. So, I can keep saying it. Get educated. Get out and vote. That's the way you make this happen. Polls don't mean shit. Debates don't mean shit. You have to vote. Get off your ass. Don't say, oh, my vote doesn't matter. Oh, Kamala's going to win this. Nope. This race is way too close to call. And if you live in a swing state, if you live in North Carolina, if you live in Michigan, if you live in Pennsylvania, fly Eagles fly. If you live in Arizona, if you live in New Mexico, get off your ass and go vote. In fact, get on a website right now and make sure you haven't been purged from those voter rolls. If you live in Florida and you're voting for Kamala, you better check your status. And you better get off your ass and go vote. Or else you're going to have this guy as the president of the United States again. Arizona is a battleground state, yeah. Did I not say? I thought I said Arizona. Redunk? Did I not say Arizona? All right. So let's get to some of the fun stuff. I mean, that was fun. That was one of the funnest debates ever. God, it was amazing. Donald Trump is terrible. Like, literally, if you guys watched the debate with me last night, you saw that there was a girl who was, pretty Trumpy. And she had leaned towards Trump, wanting to vote for Trump. And by the end of that, she was like, as much as I like or dislike Kamala and want to vote for Trump, she was like, I'm actually really sad that he couldn't stop talking about himself and couldn't stop making fun of the other person. And he couldn't at all talk about what he was going to do to help us out. And she didn't say she was going to vote for Kamala. She didn't say she wasn't not going, or that she was not going to vote for Trump. But she did say she was extremely disappointed in Donald Trump acting the way he did. And in my closing statement, I said nobody should be surprised by how Donald Trump acted. That's how he's acted for 8 straight years. And if you think this is any different than it was then, you're looking at it with rose-colored glasses. 100%. So anyways, everybody knows about all the fun stuff going on with the Russians. Oh, dude, the end was crazy, Andrew. And also, all panels are aides. I don't do the panels things. They did say a word about what they're going to do. No plan. Actually, Kamala talked a couple times about her housing plan as far as that goes. The rest of it, not that much, yeah. I would say there wasn't that much. Her whole, obviously her strategy in that was to go in, get him triggered, which she did, and then just let him talk, and that's what she did. But she did talk about her housing plan. She did talk about a couple things, economic-wise. I don't know that she talked much about the border, but she did talk about a little bit about the economy. Yeah, like I said, all debate panels are aides. That's why I don't really do debate stuff, because debates aren't really helpful. Conversations are good, but debates really aren't real helpful. So, I mean, I did it for fun, and I love Grey Pill. Grey Pill's a OG homie. He's one of the first people I got on here with when I was on here with Angela Knight. So shout out Grey Pill. Love Grey Pill. Good dude. I'll always go on there and just yell at people and argue with them just for fun, just so Grey Pill has a good time. So you guys every once in a while catch me over there. All right, so we all know what's going on. I don't think I need to explain it, but I'll explain a quick overview of this. Obviously, Tenet Media was indicted recently by the Department of Justice for, or is it Tenet Media is indicted, or the two people were indicted? I believe it's the 2 Russians from RT, which is Russia Today, were indicted for paying off Tenet Media to pay influencers, which Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, and Lauren Southern have all released statements saying they were victims of this. Their words, not mine. Where they were paid money, or supposedly, allegedly offered money to produce pro-Russian propaganda. Now, every one of these guys say they didn't do it, of course. Of course they're going to say that. There's another list of about 600 other influencers that are being investigated by the Department of Justice for also putting forth propaganda for Russia Today. Also, fun fact, the Jordan Klepper video I made where he talks about Trumpers loving Russia over America, there's a part in it where he's talking to a political commentator, I think a former congressperson. I can't remember what he was, or ambassador. I think he was a former ambassador. Where in the middle of talking to Klepper, he gets a phone call from Russia Today. So if you want to see that, check out my Jordan Klepper, Why Trumpers Love Russia, or whatever it is, video, and you'll see he gets a phone call from Russia Today while he's talking to Klepper. Insane. So, by the way, Russia has never reached out to me to pay me any money. Like Redonk's saying right now, I am actually offended. I am offended. I don't make any money from YouTube. Sometimes I make $5 or $6 off these videos, and I feel really good about that. I'm just saying, Russia's reaching out to Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, all people that are already making lots of money, okay? Why ain't you? You didn't reach out to me, dog? I would have done it. No, I wouldn't have done it. Okay, I can't even say that, right? Like, my ass will end up on the list. Okay, Department of Justice, FBI, whoever's surveilling me currently, these are jokes. Jokes, motherfucker. Allegedly. I'm just saying, $400,000 a week? Try $4,000 a week, brother. $4,000 a week, I come cheap. Okay? Those are jokes, Department of Justice. Jokes. Okay? I don't have time off. I don't have any more PTO to be going to trial over this shit. Jesus Christ. Just saying. 4K. 4K. Dude, read on. Where are you setting your price, dog? Because I got to know who I'm competing with. This is the legal, though. So we're going to... I haven't seen this video.
Right-wing media personalities who were spewing insane pro-Russia misinformation. So it turns out those right-wing media personalities who were spewing insane pro-Russia misinformation were paid by Russia. The Justice Department indicted 2 people working for the TV network Russia Today for illegally funneling $10 million to right-wing YouTube.
So, like, Lauren Shin and her husband, I do not believe are part of the indictment. I believe they are mentioned as victims, or maybe that they flipped. But Lauren Shin was removed from the Blaze's website. She was removed from Charlie Kirk's website. Look, when you get removed from Charlie Kirk's website, that's when you're like, oh, man, like, I have fallen off. I have fallen so far. When Charlie Kirk's like, ooh, I can't have anything to do with you. He's like, Nick Fuentes? Yeah, I can do Nick Fuentes. Lauren Shin? Sorry. Oh. I mean, the guy that wore the white boy summer hat doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. That's pretty cringe, just to be honest.
To push narratives favorable to the Kremlin. The indictment goes after Tenet Media and its roster of influencers, including Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and Benny Johnson. Now, I know it would be easy to drag Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and Benny Johnson for, at best, being useful idiots. Kremlin puppets. People with zero ethics whose ethical compass is either broken or non-existent. Shills willing to shill for Russian interests. Sellouts for a few rubles. Gormless morons who saw conspiracies everywhere but in the mirror. Complete imbeciles who either didn't check where their money was coming from or didn't care. The dumbest Russian assets in a race to the bottom of the Bochka.
Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy.
Where's Lowell right now? Lowell, you in chat, dog? That's exactly what I was talking about the other day. And he is like, he goes on that rant about the Ukraine is the enemy of America. The biggest enemy of America. Like, he goes on this, like, freak out about Ukraine. And Lowell's like, no, he didn't say that. It's right there. It's right there, dog. Dude, that's not a good thing. Like, look, I've said this before. Even if you're a victim, you still created pro-Russian videos. Like, even if Redonk came to me and Redonk are family. Redonk comes to me and he goes, hey, bro, I'm going to give you $10K to make pro-Russia videos. I'd be like, why? He's like, I don't know. I want some pro-Russia videos. I don't know. It just seems like a good idea. I know some people. They want me to have you do it. I'd be like, well, no. That's anti-American. I don't want to do that. Like, that's not what I'm all about. I wouldn't be like, well, you know, might as well just drop a couple, you know? Like, I'm saying from the viewpoint of the people that claim they're pro-America. If you're pro-America, you're not going to push pro-Russian propaganda. That's anti-America. So even if you're a victim, allegedly, of these crimes, you still made content that was anti-America. And there's no excuse for that. No being a victim, nothing else. You still anti-America with that shit.
Where was I? Oh, right. But let's not do that. Because, you see, they are the real victims, according to them. They were paid millions of dollars. Several received $100,000 per episode. So, please, shed a tear for them. Now, these guys have a history of spouting basically
That's on top of the
pro-Russian
YouTube numbers,
propaganda,
too.
though they claim that no one ever had editorial control over their content. But hopefully these guys are just going to tweet their way through this. Tim Pool went on the Ben Shapiro show to explain how the whole criminal enterprise worked.
Lauren contacted us and was saying, you know, we'd love to license something from you. Or we agreed to a non-exclusive broadcast license, which meant that we own the show. The show is owned by the Culture War Company, which is its own company. We own distribution rights. We own audio distribution rights, everything about it. They just effectively paid for a license, which would have it appear on their YouTube channel Friday mornings at 10 a.m.
What's up, Andrew?
And with that, they got to use my likeness and things like that.
But as part of this investigation, the government also seized over 24 internet domains allegedly directed by the Russian government.
But even that, too, so they get to use your likeness? Like, that's still, like, if somebody came to me and said, I mean, like I said, I get it. I understand if he thought that this was a deal between him and Tenet Media, and he trusted Tenet Media. I get that. But, dude, your likeness was used on pro-Russia propaganda? That's painful. I'm just saying. Not a good look, dog.
4 reasons why you need to start taking care of your liver. Reason number 1.
I think Redonk is
the
German.
liver is the largest solid organ in your body. It carries out more than 500 rolls daily.
Oh,
One
shit.
of those rolls
I'm like,
is breaking down.
I'm
These
listening,
influencers
listening to the
collectively made at
commercial
least $10
while I'm
million
reading chat.
from Russians who directed them to follow pro-Russia talking points. As Molly Knight points out, Tim Pool and Benny Johnson have gotten more money from Russia than Hunter Biden allegedly got from Burisma. Tim Pool is
Exactly.
allegedly now
How
cooperating
crazy
with the feds,
is that?
while Johnson posts Bible verses on Twitter. So let's talk about why these guys are going through some things. This indictment,
He's
and I remind you,
praying.
these allegations have not yet been proven in court, accuses Konstantin Kalashnikov and Elena Afanasieva of secretly working for Russia Today, which is known as RT. Russia Today is a state-controlled broadcaster. That means it is funded and directed by the Russian government through its state budget. RT operates as an international news and media organization, and although RT presents itself as an independent media outlet, its editorial policies and operations are widely understood to be aligned with the interests and objectives of the Russian state. Kalashnikov, quote, manages multiple RT covert distribution channels in the United States. According to investigative journalist Christo
That's not
Grozev,
good.
who worked for Spiegel and Bellingcat, Kalashnikov is the son of the Donetsk deputy mayor who sided with the Russian invaders in 2014. That's him on the right.
All
Grozev
right.
reported that Kalashnikov managed to get visas for 4 trips to the U.S. West Coast between 2016 and 2021.
Oh,
during the
no
Trump administration.
doubt.
Alina Afanasieva, who goes by Lena, described herself as, quote, a producer at RT dealing with overseas affairs and news. Here she is on Telegram. Now, according to the indictment,
course
the
she's
defendants
on
funded by
Telegram.
RT laundered almost $10 million through shell corporations to covertly support a Tennessee-based company, which the indictment refers to as U.S. Company One. This company then produced videos for social media platforms like YouTube and TikTok without disclosing RT's involvement. Company One is not identified by name in the indictment, but Company One is Tenet Media. How do we know? Well, the indictment says on its website, U.S. Company One described itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues, and identifies 6 commentators, including
Dude, called out. Like, and I've read a portion of this. I have not read the entire indictment. Woke sent me the indictment. If anybody's interested in the indictment, Woke, if you want to post it in Discord, I can also post it in Discord. Not on this computer, but on my other computer, my non-work computer, I can post it. This, like, it's like, we're not going to name the company, but we're going to give you their slogan. That's like if they said, U.S. company number 1, whose slogan is "Just do it." But read the indictment. The indictment, what I've read of it so far, is actually pretty crazy. I have grown to enjoy reading indictments. I never knew this was going to be something that I'd be into. When I started this channel, I was laughing at Trump supporters talking about Biden being a skin suit and Jordan Klepper wrecking people in interviews. That's all this channel is about. Now I have a good time reading indictments. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
Commentators 1 and Commentator 2 as its talent. and people quickly found that Tenet Media uses the phrase "a network of heterodox commentators" in the description on its website.
That's
and
the
Tenet Media
slogan
was
that you
incorporated
just
in
had up.
Tennessee on January 19th, which is the same date of incorporation mentioned in the indictment. Now, Tenet Media was apparently founded by Liam Donovan and Lauren Chen, who are referred to as Founders 1 and Founder 2, respectively. Chen's YouTube channel has over 500,000 subscribers, but her involvement in Tenet Media was not publicly known prior to the indictment.
Hold
Chen
on.
used to host 2 shows.
We have to go back. We've got to go back. Look at the thumbnails. I have never watched any of Lauren Chen's content, and I know it's already been taken down now, but now I want to go watch Lauren. Look at the thumbnails. Their bulges are fraudulent. Woman cannot understand this. We was kangs. Immigration feminist issue? With a question mark. Right-wing conservatives. We've got to talk. We really do. You guys have fallen so far. These are your influencers? Tim Pool? The I hide my bald head behind my beanie? I don't even have to say allegedly because we all know it's true. Those are facts. Tim Pool, I hide my bald head under a beanie. And a woman that has videos that say their bulges are fraudulent and immigrant feminist issues? This is the makeup of the Republican Party now? What the fuck happened? This is insane. Holy shit, dude.
Media was not publicly known prior to
We're
the
getting
indictment. Chen used to
gayer!
host 2 shows for Glenn Beck's...
We're getting gayer. And she's got like the serious look. And oh, that's a Blaze Media video. That's on Glenn Beck's site. Holy shit. Dude, I still remember when Glenn Beck became something. It was writing like children's books and shit. And the Tea Party was a big thing. That's how old I am. Oh, this is amazing. Dude, sometimes I wonder. I'm like, is this stuff all made up? Is this just like a storyline? Did Ben Smith write this? Oh, no, okay. Ben Smith is reporting on this. Okay. Sorry, Ben Smith. I'm not trying to get you involved. Hope you're not getting any gayer. Well, actually, you know, if that's what you're down with, I hope you are getting gayer. Whatever's right for you, brother. Oh, yeah, the
Blaze
Tea
TV.
Party years, yeah.
She's a contributor to Turning Point USA, and in a statement, Glenn Beck's company said it fired.
You wanted to
Hopefully,
raise
Tim
the
Pool and
fodder.
Benny
We tried
Johnson
to
both
stop
confirmed
it.
that they were named in the indictment. In a now deleted and revised tweet, Pool explained that he was an unwitting victim. Quote, should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or to what they are instructed. He mistakenly called the DOJ indictment leaked, missing the fact that it was actually part of a DOJ press release.
Yeah,
He
it's
added,
just a press
that being
release. It
said, we
wasn't
still do
leaked,
not
yeah.
know what is true, as these are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag. Russia sucks donkey balls. And recently, he's done a complete 180
hold
and started
on.
posting pro-Ukraine.
That's what Lowell said the other day. Holy shot. No way, Lowell. You're using a statement. You're using a statement that he put out after the indictment. The other day, I said that fucking Tim Pool is anti-Ukraine, pro-Russia. And he said, no, Tim Pool said Putin is a scumbag. He was referencing a tweet he put out after the indictment. See, this is why I can't trust the people that send me shit. This is why I can't trust the people that fucking come in my chat and say things. The number of times now that I've had somebody that's like, yo, I'm like a black veteran, and then I click on their channel and it's like old white dude with videos about him working on his car. The number of times that I've had people that go, yo, I don't even support Trump, but I believe this and this. And then I go and look at it and they're literally wearing MAGA fucking hats and playing music. I can't trust people anymore. I just can't. Jesus Christ. I can't. What up, Danny?
Tweets. Though it would not surprise me if this is just a troll and he thinks he's playing 4D chess. But for future reference, Pool appears to be
Hold on. He put out pro-Ukraine tweets after that? Tweets? Dude, how gullible are people? How gullible are they?
Actually part of a DOJ press release. He added, quote, "That being said, we still do not know what is true as these are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag, Russia sucks donkey balls." And recently he's done a complete 180 and started posting pro-Ukraine tweets.
Oh my God. He might be just trolling. He could, I mean, Temple is a troll. He's Tim Troll. So he could be trolling. Obviously, we must redouble our efforts and provide an additional $200 billion at once. Obviously, he's trolling. But, dude, he probably tried to use this shit in court.
Surprise me if this is just a troll and he thinks he's playing 4D chess. But for future reference, Pool appears to be commentator 2 in the indictment. The Russians paid Pool $100,000 per video to post podcasts and make videos. And over the last couple of years, Pool just happened to become very preoccupied with the idea that the U.S. is on the brink of civil war.
And
that was one of the core messages.
We looked at that in a previous video. The number of times that he has tweeted about a civil war. It's insane.
And over the last couple of years, Pool just happened.
Look at that. You're in a civil war. Civil war. It all depends on what happens next, but should this escalate, then history will regard everything happening now as the second civil war. You're in a civil war. You're in a civil war. Civil war, civil war, civil war, civil war. All of those are tweets, and they go all the way back to 2019. He's been tweeting about a civil war for 5 years. Obsessed much? Holy shit.
Happened to become very preoccupied with the idea that the U.S. is on the brink of civil war. And that was one of the core messages that the Russians apparently wanted to promote. And we'll have more on how the talking points tie in with a Russian op called Good Old USA in a few minutes. And now that the indictment is public, Pool has apparently changed his mind about the deep state. He said he's been contacted by the FBI because he's a victim of a crime and intends to cooperate. Benny Johnson is also
he's all for the deep state now.
A statement on the leaked DOJ indictment today. "A year ago, a media startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. Our lawyers negotiated a standard arm's length deal, which was later terminated. We are disturbed by the allegations in today's indictment, which make clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme. My lawyers will handle anyone who states or suggests otherwise."
Oh, no,
So there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, the indictment was not leaked. It was unsealed. Johnson is not a victim of the deep state, and it's hard to claim that you're a victim when you accepted a whole bunch of money to be a useful idiot for Russia. And as for the bit about his lawyers handling anyone who suggests he wasn't a victim, well, bring it on, I guess. Dave Rubin also confirmed he was one of the influencers. Quote, "These allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were the victims in this scheme. I knew absolutely nothing about any of the fraudulent activity, period. People of the Internet was a silly show covering viral videos, which ended 4 months ago. The DOJ never contacted me regarding this matter, and I have no intent."
So wait a minute. Statement on the DOJ indictment. "These allegations clearly showed that I and other commentators were victims of this scheme. I knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period. People of the Internet was a silly show covering viral videos which ended 4 months ago." So did he allegedly make a show for these people? Like, because that's the most anybody has said so far, like as far as like their interactions with Tenet Media. Dude, I'm gonna have to go look all this stuff up. It's gonna happen. We're getting deep, boys. We're going to get deep on this one.
Further, this screenshot directly from the indictment speaks for itself. Rubin is referring to paragraph 4 of the indictment. Quote, "Kalashnikov, Afanasieva, Founder 1 and Founder 2 also worked together to deceive 2 U.S. online commentators."
Oh, Jesus. Is this a Heritage Foundation one?
Now, the key word here is deceive because the government says that the Russians and Tenet Media founders kept its talent in the dark about Russia's involvement. And it's important to note that the DOJ did not charge the influencers with any crime, though we'll discuss their level of culpability in a minute. But here's a sample of the kind of videos that Tim Pool was making under this contract.
"Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia."
Now, part of the story I completely believe, and part of it I think is an outright lie. It's entirely possible that the influencers had no idea where this money was coming from. The indictment says that the money was funneled from Russia Today through foreign shell corporations to Tenet Media and then dispersed to the various influencers. And the indictment says that Donovan and Chen actively tried to deceive the right-wing influencers.
Yeah,
So it's
by,
possible they had no idea
somebody's
where the
name.
money was
Yeah.
coming from. Though what they had to do for this huge amount of money is so suspect that they should have been asking more questions, which is the part of this clip that I believe is an outright lie. Tim Pool says that $100,000 per episode is basically the going rate for his podcast. That's not true. The podcast that he's referring
Yeah, David Pakman went into that about how David Pakman gets more views, cumulative views than Tim Pool or Benny Johnson or Dave Rubin, and he can tell you that he doesn't make that much money. So he knows that that's not the going rate for Tim Pool's shows, and Tim Pool knows that that's not his rate for going shows, allegedly. And remember, guys, when people tell you that you're a mainstream media shill, which is really weird because we never watch Fox News or CNN, but when they tell you that you're a mainstream media shill that just regurgitates talking points for the corrupt national media, remember, the people that they think you should be following: Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Lauren Southern, Benny Johnson. Remember that. The people they think aren't corrupt are the people who allegedly were paid to make pro-Russia videos.
to got between 100 and 200,000 views per episode, and the nature of the deal was a non-exclusive license, meaning that he could host it on his channel and also on the Tenet Media channel. So in other words, it was basically a huge amount of money for basically zero work. And that's sort of the whole point. Even if they never received explicit talking points, they were given this money, which is fungible, by the way, to amplify their message. And if they weren't given talking points, it's because the Kremlin liked their message so much that they had no notes and just wanted to amplify the message as is. Now, does this content reflect Tim Pool's real opinions? That's for viewers to decide. Forbes is reporting that Rubin is apparently referred to as commentator 1 in the indictment. Rubin signed a contract that paid him $400,000 a month, plus a $100,000 signing bonus and performance incentives. Lauren Southern, Benny Johnson, and Matt Christensen are the other influencers who work with Tenet Media. Christensen is allegedly commentator number 6. See paragraph 34, which says one of the influencers announced the company's formation in a video. That was Christensen. And after news of the indictment broke, Christensen told his viewers on a YouTube stream that
left is best.
If you think that pro-America
okay, Andrew, no spamming.
is pro-Putin,
and
when I say that, I mean like core constitutional, foundational, Declaration of Independence type stuff.
I have to unban you.
So, yeah, I guess if that aligns with Putin, then I've been had.
Now, pro tip, if you think that America's founding values are best exemplified by Vladimir Putin, then yes, you've been had. Now, I don't know what's worse, being paid to shill for Russia or being willing to shill for Russia regardless of whether you were paid. Now, it's important to state, it's not illegal to run a Russian-backed TV channel. In fact, it would be illegal under U.S. law to shut it down. It's also not illegal to state Russian talking points, nor is it illegal to be paid to speak them. The First Amendment is the First Amendment. But it's also not illegal for platforms like YouTube to not allow those state-backed media platforms
100%.
on their own platform, which obviously would make it hard for those state-backed media organizations to get the reach that they want, leading them to covert operations. And it is illegal for foreign influencers to try to influence people without registering as a foreign agent. Now, obviously, if you're running a Russian disinformation campaign, you'll want a good lawyer. But if you want a great lawyer, let my law firm, the Eagle Team, help. If you've gotten in a car crash, suffered a data breach, whether or not the Russians were responsible for the hack, or are dealing with a workers' comp or social security issue, we can represent you or help find you the right attorney. It's so important to talk to a lawyer right away so you can maximize your recovery, or just find out what your options are.
That was good.
So click on the link in the description or call the phone number on screen for a free consultation with my team. Because you don't just need a legal team, you need the Eagle Team. So you can click below. Now, the indictment says that the defendants created fictional personas to disguise their identities and the true source of the money that they were paying these influencers. For example, the defendants created Edward Gregorian, a fictional private investor who was presented as the sponsor behind.
Come on, his name is Edward Gregorian, and it's spelled E-D-U-A-R-D. That alone is suspicious, all right? Gregorian with 2 N's? Like, that shit was made up by an AI chatbot, 100%. They were like, just give me a cool name.
Behind the company.
Jesus.
Gregorian was supposed to be a wealthy businessman from Belgium with ties to finance. In reality, no such person existed, as evidenced by the fact that there is literally no information about him on the internet. The closest you'll find is this poor associate at the law firm of Latham and Watkins. Kalashnikov pretended to be Gregorian, creating a fake accent during phone calls with influencers. And then there's Helena Shudra and Victoria Pesty. Afanasieva used these two fake identities to direct the editing and publishing of content for Tenet Media. These names allowed her to act covertly without revealing her connection to Russia Today. Afanasieva, through these personas, monitored the content released by Tenet Media influencers. For example, on February 16, 2024, Afanasieva, posing as Shudra, said, quote, "I do worry that neither Commentator 3 nor Commentator 1 share any raw videos posted on X. Commentator 2 shared only one video this week. Commentator 4 didn't share any raw videos. She only shared her mini doc and its promo. Commentator 5 is good at sharing our content so far. Since only one of the 6 influencers is a woman, we know that Commentator 4 is probably Lauren Southern." Afanasieva also identified the messages that she wanted the influencers to share. During the first 6 months of 2024, she posted links to approximately 841 video clips, which were routinely posted by U.S. Company One staff onto U.S. Company One's social media channels. And the best example of all, which involved a very high-profile American conservative, quote, on February 15th, 2024, Afanasieva, while posing as Shudra, shared a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia. Afanasieva posted the video in the producer Discord channel. Later that day, producer 1 privately messaged founder 2 on Discord, quote, "They want me to post this," referencing the video that Afanasieva had posted, "but it just feels like overt shilling." Founder 2 replied that founder 1 thinks we should put it out there. Producer 1 acquiesced, responding, "All right, I'll put it out tomorrow." The clip that the Russians desperately wanted to share was Tucker Carlson's grocery shopping in Moscow. Here it is.
At that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders have done to us. And coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway, radicalized. We're not making any of this up, by the way, at all.
A producer...
How is that video not sus? Like, when I first saw all those videos, including the interview, like, it all, I mean, and look, Tucker Carlson is a weird, awkward guy. Naturally weird, naturally awkward. How is that not sus? That is the most sus video when it comes to Russian propaganda you could ever produce. Like, if you asked AI to produce a super sus Russian propaganda video, that's what it would create with Tucker Carlson in it, allegedly. Allegedly.
Thought this came too close to overt shilling for the Russians. Senator Tom Tillis agreed. He shared this clip and called Tucker a useful idiot. But
Kamako, how do you feel about Kamala not really answering the harder questions? Not saying that Trump didn't do the same, but just I think that Kamala. So I actually gave Biden a hard time in the last debate. So I'll try not to be hypocritical here. I gave Biden a hard time in the last debate because I thought his mistake was attempting to answer those questions by giving numbers, by talking about policy. I felt like the way to beat Trump in a debate is not to use numbers, not to push forth policies, because he'll override you with just the nonsense bullshit that he says. I do believe that there's a nice, like, firm middle ground. Being the enlightened centrist that I am, I feel like there is a nice middle ground for people. But I think that the whole strategy for Kamala Harris in that debate was to come in to trigger Donald Trump, to use his very super transparent triggers to create a situation where he comes off as being the lunatic that Donald Trump is. As far as whether or not, like, I'm upset that she didn't share any policies, I guess I could see it as a bad thing for people that don't know anything about Kamala, but, like, I know a lot about Kamala's policies. I know a lot about, like, what she supports. I support the things that she supports. So, like, I'm not upset for, like, my personal reasoning. So, and then on the other end of it, I don't think that most people are going to be as into policy, as into legislation, as into what she's going to do as I would be, because I believe people on the left and the right mostly care about symbolism. I know that we kind of get a really, like, skewed point of view because we're looking at politics all the time. We're talking to each other all the time. I think we get a little bit of a skewed viewpoint of, like, who is voting and what they care about. And I think that the majority of people on the left and on the right, specifically on the right, really care about optics, and they care about whether or not she looked good and whether or not he looked bad. And I think that's, like, mission accomplished when it comes to the debate. As far as I go, like I said, for personal reasons, no, I'm not upset that she didn't share policies because, like, I know enough about her policies that make me want to vote for her. If that answers your questions. Oh yeah, Trump never answers any questions. Like, Trump doesn't answer regular questions. Like, that's the funniest thing about Trump is, like, you could just ask Trump like a normal question that has like, what did you eat today? And he would find some way to not talk about it. Like, so what'd you have for lunch today? So he'd be like, you know, I was gonna go eat. And then some things happened. And it was gonna be the best food you've ever had. I was gonna do that. You know, Melania, what Melania does, Melania likes tacos. Like, he has like this, I don't know if he's just ADHD or if he's like, fuck that, I'm not answering any question because I might get like put on trial for it because I've done so much bad shit. This question could incriminate me. But he never answers any questions. It's insane. Yeah, they just care about vibes. Exactly.
Chen and Donovan told the producer that they had to comply with the request, so the influencers featured the clip.
And so Tucker Carlson, the Great Liberator, is there in Moscow,
the
ironically,
Great Liberator,
to free people.
Pretty incredible that Tucker Carlson is so shameless that even the Russians are like, it's a bit much. The defendants also sought to manipulate the ISIS terror attack on a music venue in Moscow, which killed about 145 people. The defendants saw the attack as an opportunity to turn Americans against Ukraine. Quote, despite public reporting that the foreign terrorist organization ISIS had claimed responsibility for the attack, Afanasieva requested that U.S. Company 1 blame Ukraine and the United States.
And I remember people on X, I don't remember specifically who was doing it, but I do remember people on X pushing this viewpoint, that it was not ISIS, that it was Ukraine. That is so crazy. That is so insane.
Writing, quote, I think we can focus on the Ukraine-U.S. angle. The mainstream media spread fake news that ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, yet ISIS itself never made such statements.
Z2 Data makes it easy to find the best parts for your product every time. It's searchable data.
Computer.
Commentator 3, who has not yet been identified, was eager to help. Quote, Founder 1 responded that Founder 1 would ask Commentator 3, and the next day confirmed that Commentator 3 said he's happy to cover it. And by the summer of 2024, the defendants were given the authority to post content straight to Tenet Media's platforms. Liam Donovan informed a producer that going forward, the defendants, quote, would be posting their own vids directly to the influencer's social media accounts. The defendants then got, quote, unfettered access to serve RT messaging to the creator's audience. The indictment alleges that the efforts to reach U.S. viewers were successful. Quote, since publicly launching in or about November 2023, U.S. Company 1 has posted nearly 2,000 videos that have garnered more than 16 million views on YouTube alone. U.S. Company 1 never disclosed to its viewers that it was funded and directed by RT. So basically, the scheme looked like this. Russia paid money to Russia Today, aka Kalashnikov and Afanasieva. They would then take that money and funnel it through international shell corporations, which then paid wire transfers to Tenet Media, aka Donovan and Chen, who then dispersed that money to the influencers themselves. And as Poole and Rubin explained, this was basically free money. They got the funds to do things that they were already going to do anyway, and for which they didn't have to give up any of their rights or revenue. They just gave away these basically meaningless, non-exclusive licenses to Tenet Media. Now,
but shouldn't that concern you? If you're like, well, I was going to make those videos anyways, so it's just free money. Shouldn't, like, in the hindsight portion of this, let's be best faith. Best faith. In the hindsight that a Russian company was taking advantage of you by getting you to post these pro-Russian videos, that they're paying this other company to pay you, wouldn't you look at that and think to yourself, oh shit, I might be on the wrong side of this subject. I might have made a mistake, even if being the best faith. Even if it was, those were your points of view long before anybody else asked you to post this stuff. Wouldn't that at the least make you go, uh-oh, am I fucking up by spreading the information that I think is true? Like it would for me at least. Yeah, that should tell you what you're doing is wrong. Exactly, right? Like, am I wrong? It should tell you that what you're doing is wrong. Like, I don't know why this should even be mental
FARA
gymnastics.
requires
It should
individuals
just
and
be a
entities that
parrot.
engage in certain activities on behalf of foreign governments, organizations, or individuals to register with the Department of Justice and disclose their relationship with their foreign principal, as well as their activities, finances, and the nature of the work that they're doing. And the indictment accuses Kalashnikov and Afanasieva of conspiring to violate FARA by acting as agents of Russia Today without registering. The defendants allegedly secretly funneled nearly $10 million from RT through foreign shell companies to finance tenant media. The foreign shell companies were located in the Czech Republic, Hungary, the UAE, Dubai, Turkey, and the United Kingdom. The money was used to produce and distribute social media content that aligned with Russian government interests, especially on politically sensitive topics like immigration, inflation, and Ukraine. However, the defendants failed to register as foreign agents as required by FARA,
Wow.
thus concealing RT.
And speaking of what we've been talking about today with the immigrants and the pets and all that stuff, that's a tweet from Matt Christensen. It reads, in Chicago, illegal immigrants are faking armed robberies, paying people to attack them so they can apply for a visa for crime victims and get protection from deportation. New video on @WatchTenantNow breaks down this ridiculous scam, which is ironic, very ironic that he is saying it breaks down a ridiculous scam. But isn't it strange that the very things that we were talking about at the beginning of this stream are the same exact things paralleled to what he's claiming in a tenant video that he was paid to make, allegedly? Isn't it weird? Seems kind of weird. It's so weird that all of these things all kind of sync right up with each other. Like, just parallel them perfectly. I can't wait. I can't wait for all this information to come out. Oh my God. I can't wait for all of this to come out.
T's role. The tenant media producers submitted invoices through Discord to the defendants, who then wired the money through dozens of foreign entities. Commentators 1, 2, and 3 collectively made $8.7 million from RT. But the influencers weren't really generating very much revenue for tenant media. Quote, Commentator 1, Commentator 2, and Commentator 3 alone, consistent with Founder 1's February 8th, 2023 warning to Persona 1 that it would be very hard to recoup the costs for the likes of Commentator 1 and Commentator 2 based on ad revenue from web traffic or sponsors alone. The foreign wire transfers far exceeded the receipts of the advertising revenue. Indeed, the approximately $9.7 million the tenant received from foreign wire transfers represented nearly 90% of all the deposits into tenant's bank account from in or about October 2023 to in or about August 2024. That means that tenant media wasn't making much money from viewers or sponsors. It was almost fully funded by RT. Count 1 of the indictment charges Kalashnikov and Afanasieva of conspiracy to violate FARA. Overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy included recruiting tenant media, posting video clips to the Discord server for dissemination on the social media accounts, and facilitating approximately 30 international wire transfers from foreign shell entities in furtherance of the conspiracy, each of which was processed by a correspondent bank in the Southern District of New York. A willful violation of FARA, including false statements or omission of material facts, carries a penalty or fine or imprisonment of up to 5 years or both. Count 2 is for conspiracy to commit money laundering, since the funds used to support tenant media were routed.
But is any of this going to matter? Because, I mean, now this is something I guess I don't know. Have these two been arrested? Or, you know, like, are they still in Russia? Because he just said like a minute ago that the guy had obtained 4 visas to come over to America. Does that mean that he's, you know, going back and forth between the two countries? I wonder if these guys have been arrested or not. If anybody knows, let me know. What do you think it will actually do to the audience of these people? Nothing. In fact, if you want to be honest, Andrew, I think these types of things double down on the conspiracy theorist types that everything is against them. Like I guess I don't have a ton of like experience with dealing with this type of thing, but just in my last year or two in dealing with people that seem to believe that most of this stuff is all true, it's actually the only truth, that everything else you see is false. This goes right along with the rhetoric that the deep state is trying to censor them, that the deep state is trying to put them all in jail by using lawfare, that the deep state is, setting them up to seem like they're anti-American when they're the actual patriots. I mean, every little bit of this kind of goes right alongside the conspiracy theories and stuff that they believe. I think that obviously a few people, like probably people that like think Tim Pool was just like kind of an okay guy, and they just like watched his like stuff like intermediately. Maybe people like that are gonna be like, dude, I'm not watching his stuff anymore. But for the most part, like the cult members are cult members. They're literally cult members, so it doesn't matter. Like I was just saying the other day, with the cat thing, with the eating pets thing. I go, this is the type of thing that if you saw something like this, like I immediately go search out the video, look at the video, watch the video, read it, research on the person, find the whole voter information, all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't real. Like none of these people do that. And if you come up to them and you say, you said it was a person that eats cats in Springfield, Ohio. You said that they're Haitian. And you said that they're an immigrant. All of those things are wrong. They're from Canton, Ohio. They were an American citizen. They did eat a cat. They did eat a cat. Guess not all of it was wrong. They don't care. They don't care. That doesn't matter to them. Their reality is dependent on these things being true. And if they're not true factually, then they find a workaround. They find some way of saying, sure, you can prove to me that that was in Canton, not in Springfield, but that doesn't matter. Sure, you can prove that that's an American citizen through voter information, which I don't even know that that's true, because how do I know that's the person? But even if it is, that doesn't prove anything. Like these are the conversations. We watched it in that Destiny video with Jesse on Fire, where Destiny says to him, he says, I'm going to, every single one of these subjects, I don't care, you can pick any one of them, I'm going to prove to you with facts and information, evidence, that the things I believe are correct and the things that you believe are incorrect. And the only counterfactual that you're going to have for me is to say, do your own research, or can't you see how the fact patterns laying out that this is what's going on? You're never going to provide hard evidence for anything that you believe. You're just going to tell me that it's all covered up by the deep state. And that's what makes conspiracy theories so easy to get into. It's so easy to go down that rabbit hole, is because if you want to believe something, being a conspiracy theorist, there will always be a reason to. And that's also why it's so goddamn exhausting to have these conversations with these people, is because you think that you're making inroads into helping somebody. Think you're making inroads into like helping them see that they're actually like harming themselves mentally, that they're harming their life, the life of the loved ones around them and stuff like that. And you're getting close to it. And the moment you get close to being like, you're like, can't you see how all of these things equal this one thing that proves that you're wrong? And they go, yeah, man, but that's what they want you to believe. Can't you see that? There is no winning. The only thing that I've ever figured out, and I'm not good at it yet, is using the Socratic method. That's the only thing. Like something like this, I could say like, well, can't you see why Tim Pool would want to make money? And they go, no, he already makes a bunch of money. He already makes a bunch of money. He doesn't need Russia's money. Well, what if I showed you his, financials? What if his financials are out there? What if I could show you that? No, it doesn't matter. How do I know that's not Photoshopped? Like, you see what I'm saying? It just goes through this, like, it's exhausting because you can't even cover the first topic without going through like 100 different excuses. It's almost impossible. Should they be deplatformed? Should they be deplatformed? I think that every private company has the right to do whatever it wants with its commentators, with its content creators. So like, if YouTube were to ban my channel for playing this video, if YouTube were to ban my channel for saying some of the things that I say that I'm not, I don't endorse, but perhaps they think I shouldn't even be talking about them, I'm 100% for that. It's their platform. But do I think that it should be banned? That's a really like complicated question, because there's a lot of money in making disinformation, which is the irony of people saying that like the news media is corrupt and this is where you get your real information. There's a lot of money to be made in disinformation. So my concern would be if you said no to deplatforming people, that you would have this overwhelming amount of misinformation, and that would be really scary. But at the same time, I find it really helpful to watch videos on Tim Pool, or the allegations with Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and these guys. I find it really helpful to have my X account where I see all the stuff that they say. So it's actually an incredibly complicated, and I'm taking a very centrist point here. Says the guy who wants to start talking about conspiracies once Trump is gone. Hey, I haven't started yet. I'm just hypothesizing. Okay, I'm hypothesizing. We're just brainstorming, Andrew. I haven't made any money, Andrew. I gotta figure out a way to make the dollars. Comical Hexical says, as someone who knows people, criminals generally gain their citizenship by having other parties make stakes in the wanted country, and then they take over utilizing identity theft or corruption. I didn't know that. That's trippy. I'll look into that. What up, Joshua? You think that deplatforming works? The one thing I will say about that is that as long as things like Telegram exist, and by the way, I'm for shutting down Telegram. I'm 100% for it. Like any platform that allows dissemination of child literature, sexually explicit child material and stuff like that with no monitoring, any platform that allows torture of animals, which I can confirm and verify by showing you the video I did on them, and the monkey torture videos that they have, like, I think any company that's doing those types of things should be shut down. I mean, if you're monitoring, like I've heard people say, well, then shouldn't Google be shut down because they have search engines? Don't they have Gmail that these things could be? No, the point is that they attempt to monitor these things. If you are making every attempt to monitor these things and then people are finding workarounds and then you are finding those workarounds and then you are getting rid of those workarounds, it's a constant battle. I don't expect any company to be perfect. But Telegram, when contacted by the people who did the monkey videos, when they are contacted, they say, we do not monitor our members' accounts because that is a violation of their freedoms, and we will never do so. Any company that says that should be shut down, in my opinion. Yeah, I might. Yeah, they at one point they might ban me, Andrew. So I've been banned once already. Just so you guys know. And that was like, I didn't do anything. All I did was watch a QAnon video, and I'm pretty sure it triggered the algorithm. And I ended up getting my channel back because I explained to them, I'm like, I don't support any of that stuff. Like, I'm literally criticizing it. Like, that's if that's why you guys, because they don't tell you why they ban you. You have to guess. If you have a YouTube channel and you ever get banned, what you do is you have to get a hold of a human being, and then you have to guess at what you think you did wrong, and then tell them you'll never, ever, ever, ever do that again. And it still takes about a week of contacting them over and over and over again, multiple times a day. And then I got my account back.
Foreign shells, the indictment connects the FARA violations to money laundering. These laundered funds were intended to finance operations that violated FARA, including influencing public opinion on behalf of the Russian government. The indictment also made forfeiture allegations, which are necessary in order for the government to seize property or assets derived.
Tiki says people shouldn't be deplatformed because then their followers see them as being legitimized, except for Alex Jones. F him. Yeah, I mean, I agree that. Like I said, it's a really complicated question, and I'm not well versed enough in like this. Like, I got one of the things I feel capable of doing because I've had so much experience because of my job is in problem solving and stuff like that. If I were to like sit down and attempt to like come up with an actual like plan instead of doing it off the top of my head, I might be able to have a better answer. But just off the top of my head, it's like, I like the word conundrum. Conundrum is one of my favorite words because it means like an extremely complicated or complex question. Something that's really hard to answer. Like when we talk about abortion, I know a couple people are gonna be like, that's not complicated at all, but to me it is. I'm super pro-choice, obviously, but I think that like there are really, it's really complicated. It's a complex question. I think that the seriousness of it, the responsibility of it, really I have to admit to its complexity, so that way I understand the accountability of my decisions. But yeah, I think that that's also just another conundrum, the whether or not to deplatform people for things like this.
From, involved in, or traceable to the criminal activity committed by the defendants. The indictment alleges that as a result of committing the offenses, Kalashnikov and Afanasieva must forfeit to the United States all property derived from the proceeds traceable to the commission of the FARA violation and the money laundering. But what about the profits distributed to these 6 influencers? Well, it's possible that those influencers could be forced to forfeit those funds, but it's unlikely.
No shit.
So Tim Pool will
be
probably be able to keep his skate park. Now, there is another angle to this situation. The Federal Trade Commission regulates influencers on platforms like YouTube. The FTC requires influencers to disclose any material connections, such as payments, free products, trips, or other forms of compensation when they promote or endorse something. And under the FTC guidelines, influencers must clearly and conspicuously disclose their relationship with brands, advertisers, and entities who sponsor videos. These disclosures should be easy to notice and understand, preferably in the video or in the description. So what would the FTC make of this situation? It's not entirely clear. The influencers said they were shocked to discover that the money was coming from Russia, but of course, how credible is that claim? If someone you've never met before turns up with millions of dollars and offers it to you with certain strings attached that happen to be extremely pro-Russia, would you be suspicious? And in this case, the strings were immediately apparent. The indictment explains that the defendants demanded and got access to the Discord servers. Once they had direct access to the producers and talent, they were given the ability to post pro-Russia, anti-Ukraine, and anti-American content directly to the influencers' social media channels.
Yeah, and
the
that's
influencers say that they were already talking about those topics, so they weren't paid to emphasize specific talking points, but it's hard to read the indictment any other way, especially given that in a sister investigation that we'll talk about in a second, people were given explicitly pro-Russia talking points. Poole says he's a victim who had no idea the money was coming from foreign sources. However, a few years ago, Poole surmised that foreign agents could buy YouTubers.
So what happens with social media, particularly YouTube, where it's really easy,
God.
you can have a foreign agent or even the government or some corporation or whatever say, this guy talks about things that we really like.
And amazing.
Dump ad money into his channel through Google AdSense, and they'll never know we were the ones funding him, and you can't prove it.
The FTC might take a close look at the founders, Donovan and Chen, who knew that they were working with people affiliated with RT, and they were both paid contributors to RT. Founder 1 wrote 25 articles for RT's website, but did not disclose that they were paid to write them, and they knew that doing business with RT would be problematic in the US. The indictment says that Chen and Donovan, quote, recognized that truthfully disclosing their affiliation with RT made it more difficult for them to do business in the United States. For example, in February of 2022, quote, producer 1 told founder 2 that, quote, when I was asking people if they wanted to interview, many said yes until I said I was with RT, so I switched to saying I was just working for founder 1. Founder 2 replied, ha, not surprised. It's possible that promoting talking points from Russia today without disclosure would run afoul of FTC rules, but that would probably require proving that they knew the defendants were not who they said they were, which is definitely possible. Paragraph 22 of the indictment says that the defendants, through their fake personas, told them that, quote, management and marketing for the new platform social media accounts would be done by the Russian firm we agreed to hire. Donovan replied that he was, quote, happy to work with the Russian firm. The Russian firm consisted of defendants who later monitored and directed tenants' activities under the guise of an outside editing firm.
This is my dog Checkers. She's 21, and I owe
What
it
up,
all
Checkers?
to the farmer's dog.
Hi, Checkers.
Checkers.
Then there's paragraph 27, quote, founder 1 and founder 2 admitted to each other in their private communications that their investors were in truth and in fact the Russians, the same term that founder 1 and founder 2 previously used to refer to RT while working directly under contract with RT as described above.
Dude,
so we may learn
so
that more
bad.
than just the founders
Holy
knew it was the
shit,
Russians.
they're bad.
Tim Pool at least
They're gonna
asked,
eat Checkers.
He was reportedly happy with the contract, but, quote, still would like to know more about the company and who he will be working with. The defendants put him on the phone with Edward Grigorian, who was really Kalashnikov, and then he was eager to move forward. Dave Rubin also apparently sought more information on Grigorian, which prompted the defendants to make up a fake CV. But Rubin was suspicious. No, not of the Russians. He thought the CV sounded a little too social justice-y. Quote, founder 1 reported to Persona 1 that commentator 1 had a problem with the profile we sent over, specifically the reference.
No way. That's what he was that's what he was sus about out of all of this. The thing he was sus about was he was worried. He's like, he looks like he might be LGBT. You sure he's not LGBT? Because I don't trust LGBT, bro. Wait, isn't Dave Rubin LGBT?
As to social justice. I think it may be because that's usually a term used by liberals, but we're trying to create a conservative network. Founder 1 suggested that Dave Rubin and, quote, Edward could simply speak together to clarify the profile. So Rubin was willing to share the talking points as long as he was satisfied that Grigorian wasn't a secret social justice warrior. But what if Grigorian was a secret Russian with ties to the Russian government? Well, he evidently wasn't so concerned about that. But meanwhile, the creators are facing repercussions on YouTube. In Europe, Russia Today is banned. The US did not ban RT because it can't. But after the invasion of Ukraine, American distributors of RT America cut ties with the network and it stopped operating. Then YouTube blocked access to channels that are associated with Russia state media, including RT.
Good.
And now YouTube
Good
has
job.
taken additional action. It removed Tenet Media's channel just days after the indictment, saying it, quote, violated
Good
our
job.
community guidelines. But why weren't Chen and Donovan charged with violating FARA? Probably because of the willfulness standard under FARA, which requires more than just knowledge that you're in business with a foreign national. A violation is willful only when the person acts with knowledge that the conduct was unlawful. They also might be cooperating with the Department of Justice. We don't know. And in a related proceeding, the DOJ seized 32 internet domains for allegedly engaging in a covert campaign to interfere and influence the outcome of our country's elections. According to the unsealed affidavit filed in a federal court in Pennsylvania, Russia has been...
Don't worry, though, guys. Like, all these guys tell you that there's no Russian interference. You guys don't have to worry about anything. Russians are totally not interfering with anything at all, ever. It's never happened. Just trust the people that may or may not have been victims, allegedly, of Russian interference. God damn it.
engaged in an influence campaign called Operation Doppelganger. They called this the good old USA
I saw
plan,
it on
which I'm sure
TV.
sounded like
Exactly.
the good old USA plan, which sought to exploit existing societal divisions in the U.S. in order to secure a Trump victory by leveraging far-right conspiracies and racist stereotypes. The good old...
You know, the best part of that debate, too, is that, like, this is something... So if the left was more like MAGA... The left, like, Kamala would have brought up all this stuff. Kamala would have been like, yeah, that's why people on your side are, like, literally getting, like, indicted. Or, I'm sorry, there's people that are indicted that allegedly worked with people that push your talking points. Right? Like, that's the right way to say that. Dude, like, if Kamala was anything like Trump, all we would have heard about, like, can you guys imagine how bad politics is going to get if both sides... just comes equipped with like social media posts? Like they're just like telling you all the things they saw on YouTube. Oh Christ. When do our AI overlords take over?
The USA planning document says, quote, it makes sense for Russia to put maximum effort to ensure that the Republican Party's point of view, first and foremost the opinion of Trump supporters, wins over the U.S. public opinion. The plan involved creating fake social media accounts and sleeper cells to influence public opinion using YouTube, Reddit, Facebook, and Twitter for propaganda. The plan particularly emphasizes X, where Russia maintains a network of 200 accounts on Twitter, 4 in each of the 50 states. The affidavit also reveals that Russia had a database of influencers from all over the world with heavy emphasis on the United States. Quote, one document revealed a list of more than 2,800 people on various social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Telegram, spanning 81 countries that SDA identified as influencers, including television and radio hosts, politicians, bloggers, journalists, businessmen, professors, think tank analysts, veterans, professors, and comedians. When referring to politicians, the list often mentions which U.S. state and...
Oh, dude. I know. Now I could get myself in so much trouble right now. Radio hosts, politicians, bloggers, journalists, businessmen, professors, think tank analysts, veterans. Isn't professors? Yeah, they're professors on there twice. And comedians. Dude. I'm not going to say any names. I'm not going to get myself in trouble. But I have thoughts. I have thoughts. There are names in this dome right now. And I bet you guys know all of them. 2,800 guys. And you've been seeing them on X, on YouTube, on social media. Holy shit, that's so crazy. On another list of over 1,900 anti-influencers from 52 countries. Anti-influencers, what is that? Maybe he'll explain it.
or political party they represent and the position they hold in Congress. The
Yeah,
US-based
Cajun.
influencers
What
accounted for
Elon
approximately
said?
21% of the
Dude,
accounts
that's
being monitored
crazy.
by SDA. So it's certainly possible that we will soon learn about more influencers being paid by Russian operatives. Perhaps that's why Dan Bonino is warning other influencers to be careful.
But I'd be remiss as a former federal agent to not warn people that given these accusations are other people, I'm not accusing anyone specifically.
This dude right now is like, did I post any of those things? Did I retweet any of those videos? Am I about to be on that list? Yeah, Cajun Fish said, I heard that old Elon wants to give Taylor Swift a baby and he would take care of her cats. Dude, I swear, I hope Elon Musk runs into Travis Kelce. And I mean that like literally. Well, I guess I mean Travis Kelce runs into Elon Musk. Woo! Let's just say Travis Kelce is not a small dude, and Travis Kelce is not a dude that is adverse to physical contact with other human beings at a high rate of speed. Yeah, that's not probably the girl you want to be going for, Elon. You're gonna have some things happen to you, dog.
I want to be clear. Are people working with the feds right now to try to ensnare other conservative influencers?
Yeah. Look at him. He's like paranoid. He's paranoid. Look at him.
I'm just going to say this. Be very careful who you're emailing and be very careful who you're talking to.
Hold on, though. Hold on. If you're not doing anything you're not supposed to be doing, then why would you be concerned? Why would you be putting out a warning to other people to be careful if they're not doing anything wrong? That's a really sus thing to do. To create a video where you talk to other people specifically in your sphere of influence and tell them to be very careful if they're doing things like working with Russian propagandists, allegedly. That's a pretty fucking sus thing to do, Dan. Wow.
And be very careful that you're not talking to someone working with the feds on the other end of the line.
Now, there are several ways you can read this clip. Perhaps he's telling them not to be gullible.
That's working with the feds? How about you be a little more concerned about working with the Russians? That should working with the feds? You finish that sentence with, if you are working with Russians, you're unpatriotic, un-American, a terrible human being. And also, I hope you get caught. That's how you should have finished that sentence. Holy Jesus.
Or perhaps this is a warning to other influencers not to cooperate with the investigation. But if you'd like to see the best videos on the internet by creators who are guaranteed not to be paid by the Kremlin, you can on today's sponsor, Nebula. On Nebula, you can watch all of our videos early and ad-free with zero Russian interference, because our videos always go up on Nebula first. Plus, there's tons of exclusive content, none of which was paid for by shady Russian intermediaries. And for a limited time, you can get a lifetime membership, where you can buy once and then never again. It's the greatest deal of all. And I know tens of thousands of you sign up for
I don't know what Nebula it is, but Legal Eagle's a good dude. If you guys want to use Nebula, use Nebula. This is not a paid promotion. I don't get any money from the Russians. Am I working with the feds? If I am, I'm not getting paid anything. I only have one job that pays me anything, and I'm pretty good at that job, so I like that job. But fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I don't make any money off YouTube or my content. I make a little tiny bit of money, enough to buy Christmas presents, maybe, allegedly. But currently, no one has approached me, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of pissed off. I'm kind of mildly defensive about the fact that no one has approached me. Not the Russians, not the feds. Neither side seems to be interested in my content. This is kind of actually making me sad. Anyways, as far as that stuff goes, that's where we're at with the story. There's going to be more information to come. Who knows what's going to happen? Like, I'll be honest with you guys. I want to always be good faith with all this stuff. I always want to, like, believe the best in Americans. I always, like, you know, I'm the fucking enlightened centrist that Andrew makes fun of. Sometimes I venture into that center space, but I really do. I want people to do well. I want people to be good people. I want people to be to care about other Americans and not just want to like do stuff for money. Like that's what I want to believe. But the longer I've been doing this YouTube content creation stuff, the more like paranoid, suspicious, worried, concerned I have become about the other people in this space. I look around and I see other people that are claiming to be victims. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I had interactions with people when I first got on here with Angela, who Angela was like, you have to understand that a lot of these people aren't the same people that they are on stream when they're off stream, that they have personas like wrestling. Like all of that stuff to me is just like really weird. But the more that I've been on here, and the more you guys have said, hey, yo, these people do this, or this person does this, and I'm like, nah, they probably don't do that. That's crazy. Why would you ever do that? And the more I look into it, these people do those things. So I'm becoming very suspicious of all the people around me. That's what I get for being a centrist. What about the rich Nigerian prince? Look, I've returned his emails and he has not responded. The rich Nigerian prince will not respond to my emails. Also, a little bit pissed off that no rich Nigerian princes. Although I do get put into an occasional I do get put into an occasional Bitcoin WhatsApp chat. And I finally figured out how to stop that from happening. I have opted out of, I don't know why that's the default. The default is to like let people make me join their Bitcoin groups. I'm not joining your Bitcoin group, dude. Stop that shit. So I figured that out. I finally figured out how to stop that from happening. This is my favorite commercial, just so you guys
Years
know
of drinking, I just realized that alcohol isn't this social lubricant that I thought it was. The confidence that I was getting only resulted in anxiety, and the fun that I was having.
Oh, no, this isn't the one with the old lady. I like the one with the old lady where she's like, oh, I'd love to try it. Like, it's amazing. It's one of my favorite commercials on YouTube, which I can't say about regular media. I can say this. YouTube has some commercials that I think are funny, and regular TV just doesn't. Like, you literally, my brain turns off as soon as, when I'm watching football, like if I'm not watching Red Zone, so I'm totally pampered. I'm an entitlement person because I have Red Zone. So when I'm watching Red Zone, there are no commercials. It's just 7 hours of football. Once again, not a paid promotion. They don't care about me either. Won't give me any money either. If anybody should give me money, it should be the NFL. Please. Please give me money. NFL, you have so much money. Just a little bit. But when I'm watching like the Monday night game, Thursday night game tomorrow, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, for all my Florida fans out there, Dolphins tomorrow, baby. As soon as the commercials come on, like I don't even mean to do this, my brain like turns off. Like I go off into La La Land as soon as the game goes off, and then I'm like, oh, game back on. I start thinking about Trump getting owned by Kamala Harris in the debate as soon as the commercials come on. Like, I'm not shitting you guys. That's literally what I do. All right, so this is David Pakman.
It's great to welcome back to the program today.
David Pakman has brought on this gentleman right here, who apparently is a cult expert who's going to explain to us the Trump cult, which could be something that could be used in the creation of my book. Also, I just saw this guy, and I was like, that's an interesting-looking fellow right there. Not David Pakman. David Pakman, also interesting looking, especially the mustache. He's got a little bit of a CHP thing going on there. Like, David Pakman could definitely be a CHP officer. 100% CHP officer. But this gentleman, very interesting looking fellow. And I just thought, I got to hear what this guy has to say. 100% this guy's going to say something interesting.
Today, Dr. Stephen Hassan, world-renowned cult expert and author of the cult of Trump.
Birds
a
are
leading
sus.
cult expert
Exactly,
explains
Bucky.
how the president uses mind control. Now the former president, and also, by the way, now with a new forward by George.
Yeah, you can email me, Andrew, just like everybody else emails me. Tia, I've been looking through all yours. And as I've told many people that have emailed me, I do not share your personal information. I do not share your email address or any of those things. So feel free to send me anything you get. And look, I get stuff from everybody. I don't get stuff just from lefties. I get conspiracy theories from conspiracy theorists. I get, centrists. I get people that just want to tell me I'm wrong. I get people that like want me to like look into certain things. You guys can feel free. I'm going to put it right here. You guys can send me whatever you want. Like I don't, even if you're a conspiracy theorist, even if like no feet pics, please. I don't want feet pics. Feet are gross. Please don't send me your feet pics. Golf, I don't want to see your bunion. Okay. But you can send me whatever you want, even if you're a conspiracy theorist. Like I said, I actually like seeing this stuff because I like to be aware of it, and I like to look into it to make sure I understand what I should think about it. So anybody can send it to me. That is my Gmail. Did I spell that right? It looks like I spelled it right. Yeah. Should be progressivematters3@gmail.com. Comical says, who would win in a no-rules boxing match? Trump, Biden, Kamala, or Obama? That's a good question. First of all, let's get the old people out, okay? Let's just be honest. 100% on this, okay? Joe Biden don't move so well. Trump is built like an upside-down pear. Like, Trump is the type of dude that looks very, very top-heavy, and weirdly enough, he shares a body type with Elon Musk. They're the only two human beings I have ever seen that have that weird pear, like upside down pear body type where like their upper body makes them lean out. Kind of like Louis Anderson. Louis Anderson might have been there too. Rest in peace. I think he's dead. If not, sorry, Louis Anderson. But it's going to come down to Kamala versus Obama, I think is what that's going to happen. And, after watching what Kamala did to Donald Trump last night, I'm leaning Kamala. Kamala a couple times. Look, I grew up in a bad place. I've seen some physical violence in my day. I've also seen the looks people have on their face right before they're about to commit physical violence. And I can usually tell you, I'm like, that's about the time you get your hands up. Like, never have your hands down when somebody's looking at you like that. Somebody gets close to you and they got to look like that on your face. You bring your hands up. You do this bit. You go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, you find a reason to get your hands up. Because if your hands are down here, that's a bad move. You don't want to start out the confrontation with your hands down around your hips. You want them up here, okay? Also, don't push, punch. That's just... use that information as you will. This is not financial advice, allegedly. Don't push, punch. And I'm just saying, a couple times, Kamala looked like she might be willing to throw hands. But Obama is very athletic. Basketball player does smoke cigarettes, as we found out during Obama's presidency, does smoke cigarettes. So there's a good chance Barack Obama gasses out second or third round. I don't know, does Kamala smoke? I don't think she smokes. I think she might have that edge on him. I am currently leaning Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris takes it. They both look like seals. Dude. No, Andrew. I can't open anything on this computer right now. It is doing some weird stuff and giving me this warning that it wants to like me to shut down all my tabs. I will look at anything you guys have sent to me off stream. First of all, I do that most of the time anyways, because like, especially what Redonk sends me. No, Manic, he used to go outside and smoke cigarettes where Michelle couldn't see him. And that's factual. Look it up.
George Conway. It's great to have you on again. We've been kind of talking to and about Trump supporters who we interview at rallies sometimes and other places. And there's this intuitive feeling I have, having read about a number of different cult leaders, that there's some similar mechanisms that are happening here. But as a non-expert on cults, it's hard for me to kind of qualify them. Talk to us a little bit about what you see that would qualify at least some followers of the former presidents as sort of being in a cult type scenario.
Oh, thanks, David, for having me back. I love your show. So part of the thesis of the cult of Trump is, first of all, that Trump has the stereotypical profile of a cult leader, which is what Eric Fromm called malignant narcissism, something George Conway has been promoting in terms of his anti-psychopath.
Wait, is malignant narcissism like extra narcissism? Is that like super narcissism? Extreme narcissism? Are there different levels to narcissism? I thought narcissism was just narcissism. Malignant narcissism. Doesn't malignant mean like it's going to spread or it's like going to kill you? Isn't that what they use for cancer? I'm going to have to look that up.
And everything to try to say, look, this is a dangerous psychopathic person. We don't want him anywhere near power.
Deadly.
So that's part of the cult of Trump. But to answer your question, what I realized was that there are actual authoritarian cults in the cult of Trump. And we're talking about tens of millions of people in groups like the New Apostolic Reformation churches and megachurches.
The what?
And the media has missed the mark by calling them Christian evangelicals, in my opinion, because I have friends who are Christian evangelicals who follow Jesus and the Bible. And what's different about these groups is they're self-proclaimed prophets or apostles who say, I speak to God, and God told me Trump won the 2020 election. And they use...
And so we have seen some videos on that. We've watched, Owen, Fireside Chat, right? Owen's Fireside Chat. He talks about a bunch of those people, because I'm pretty sure Owen's either religious or used to be religious. But, yeah, this is something I talk about quite frequently, is that the only people in our society that we accept that they hear voices and that they're told things and we don't consider them crazy are religious people. That is such a strange thing to believe. It is so strange that if you are non-religious and say you hear voices or say you are told to do things, everybody thinks you're crazy. But if you are a religious person and you say, God told me that these things are going to happen, or God told me that this is the truth, we're just like, yeah, no, he's religious. It's normal. That's so weird. Comical says, have you heard about the increase in paganism? Apparently there's people that believe in dragons and have seen them and worship them and believe they are actually dragonborn. I have not seen that. And now I'm going to be looking into that because, wow. Just so you guys know, my mom was a pagan, or a Wiccan, I guess is what you would call her. She believed in witchcraft and all of those things. And just personal information, my mom, love her to death. She is still my mom, but my mom had a very hard life in which she accumulated some issues. But I have nothing against paganism, nothing against Wiccanism, but believing in dragons is going to put me somewhere in the same realm as believing, in spirits. I mean, interchangeable. Even though I like dragons, I got a whole book of dragon, or a whole shelf of book. Jesus Christ, a whole shelf of dragon books right here. Okay, just to prove that I'm not a liar. Just to prove that I'm not a liar. For my Game of Thrones fans. Oh, you can see through it. For my Game of Thrones fans. It's a big book, okay? I like big books, and I cannot lie, okay? For my my Ender's Games fans. Not a dragon book, but I do like it. To prove that I'm OG, we whip out The Dragon Reborn. That's right, The Dragon Reborn. Robert Jordan, rest in peace. No, he died because he didn't finish his books. Thank you for Brandon Sanderson for making that happen. Okay. Lots of books over here about dragons. Don't believe in dragons? Never seen a dragon? Not going to worship a dragon. Ooh. We're going to have like a book club night. We need to have book club night. This book, Mark Lawrence. So I'm a big fan of anti-heroes. I love anti-heroes. Jorg Ankrath in I think it's called The Prince of Thorns is the first book. Great book. Will suggest. Not being paid, once again, for any of this. Skyrim is back. Is it? Has it ever went away? These nuts be dragon.
Phobia programming, my BITE model of authoritarian control, behavior, information, thought, and emotional control, to create a pseudo-identity that's dependent and obedient on them. And it's because the leaders are saying we have to do what God wants, which is elect Trump. They're following their prophet more than they're following Trump. Not to say that there aren't people who are infatuated by Donald Trump, too, because they're in chapter 7 and 8 have many different.
And this goes along with what I've been saying, is that MAGA, Trump isn't really the main character. MAGA, the cult, is the main character. In fact, I think I heard Destiny talking to some UK guy today, and he was saying that he thinks when Trump is gone that MAGA will fall apart. I don't believe that. I believe specifically right now that RFK is putting himself in a position to take the reins of MAGA if Donald Trump decides to leave. That Tulsi Gabbard is positioning herself in a way to take a certain, like a lieutenant position pretty much within MAGA. I think that Vivek Ramaswamy is also positioning himself as I believe he's trying to position himself as the stable MAGA member, because he's doing all this. Now, guys, we're supposed to talk about policies. Let's stop talking about her skin color, which doesn't go over well with the MAGA crowd. So I don't think that Vivek's going to find his place by doing that. But you can never discount what kind of grift these guys are going to come off with. So I don't think MAGA will go away. I don't think that Trump is the main character. I think that like QAnon people will definitely leave. But I believe MAGA and QAnon. So it's like everybody that is QAnon is in MAGA, but not everybody that is in MAGA is in QAnon. That is how I feel about that. And I believe MAGA as a movement will either completely destroy the Republican Party and become the other party, or they will cut themselves off from the Republican Party, leaving the Republican Party as a shadow of its former self, and it will be like an off to the side pain in the ass. And if that happens, good luck Republicans ever winning another election. If MAGA is cancer, in my opinion, and I do believe that it is infecting the conservative party, and that if MAGA gets its way and either splits off or shatters the Republican Party, the right wing will never win another presidential election. That's my personal opinion.
Cults within the cult of Trump. But the point is that when you're in a mindset where you're unable to consider the possibility you might be in error or that there may be information that you're missing, if you're so certain and you know, that's the danger point that I want to urge everybody to step back.
And that's Dunning-Kruger too, is that like not being smart enough to know what you don't know, whereas like a smart person is smart enough to know what they don't know, right? Like whenever, like anytime I've been invited to any kind of debate panel and stuff like that, I always have this like feeling of like, what if I don't know? What if, like, I should look more into this subject? I should like have more information. I have more data. And that's why like I always end up with like pages and pages of notes that I never actually use. And that's because like I'm concerned that I don't know something. Like, what if this person says this? And, you know, the few times that I've been involved in any type of discussion with a Trump supporter, I am completely overloaded with too much information because they all say practically the same things. It's almost always the same cookie cutter arguments. Same things goes with conspiracy theorists. Same thing goes for, you know, like really like your basic voter. The rare times I've ran into somebody that like actually has like talking points that like I'm not prepared for is generally like somebody that really is into politics, because I've only been doing it for a very short amount of time. And so people that are really, really into politics and have been doing it for a long period of time, generally they say things that I'm like, whoa, like I don't even know the first part of what you're talking about. So like that's when that kicks in. But if you're a cult member, you're on the stupid side of Dunning-Kruger. You don't believe that there's something that you don't know. You're too stupid to know what you don't know. Andrew says, I argue with Bernie people in 2020 that Tulsi was running as a spoiler and was already leaning right. Tulsi Gabbard always kind of struck me as somebody that wasn't fully a Democrat, right? Like when she was going on Joe Rogan's show and stuff like that, I always felt like she kind of had like a chip on her shoulder. Like she felt like she was disrespected. And I think that that's like the story of a lot of people that go over to MAGA. Speaking of Bernie, a lot of Bernie supporters, in my opinion, went over to MAGA because they had a chip on their shoulder. They felt like they were disrespected, not just by Hillary and Biden, but then by Bernie himself when he towed the party line and said, hey, I support Biden, I support Hillary. And then they made their way over to MAGA. So like that, the fact that you said that actually like kind of parallels what I'm talking about. Comical says, yeah, look up Draconic Wicca. It's a little wild, the Wicca branches, and it's actually increasing dramatically in the new generation, touted as one of the fastest growing. We're gonna have to do a watch party on that, my friend. We're gonna have to do a watch party on that. Redonk says, you sure you want to summon QAnon again? No, I don't. I don't. You're right, I don't. Joshua, you were reading The Wheel of Time, but it's, dude, the ending books for The Wheel of Time, Joshua, are some of the longest, most repetitive, word salad books I ever read in my life. And I was so happy when Brandon Sanderson took over those last books. Oh, thank God. Thank God for Brandon Sanderson taking over those last books.
Go, whoa. Because we're human, and it's critical that we have information and evidence to make good decisions.
One of the things I've noticed or thought about is that sometimes we, our correspondent Luke Beasley or someone from a right-wing network will interview a Trump supporter, and they will say, for example, with total confidence, that Donald Trump is currently the president of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, we've talked amongst ourselves sort of about, are those claims literally believed to be true by the people who say them? Or is it sort of like, for example, with Jim Jones, there were followers of Jim Jones who certainly repeated, they were on message, they were saying the things, but they weren't saying it because they necessarily believed it. They saw it as how you kind of prove your membership in the group, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely.
Is one or the other, the literal belief versus the I'm saying it to show I'm part of the team, is one or the other more common among cult followers?
Yeah, and as far as Trump supporters go, you have seen, I've said this before, like MAGA is a spectrum, as many things are. Most things are a spectrum. You have MAGA supporters that are just like, I don't know, like Trump just seems like, I hate the left, like they have like kind of like very like basic excuses. And then you have MAGA supporters that talk about, it's not geometry, what is it called? What is the numbers thing that they believe in? Where it's like, if you look at the numbers, it proves that there's a prophecy, gamma something or another. Gematria, I think is what it's called. So you have those people, you have the RFK Jr.'s coming back people, you have the Biden as a skin suit people, you have the Donald Trump is still the president people. And then, you kind of have, like he just said, people that I think they're like, well, he could still be the president, or, sure, like there's a lot of evidence that shows that the election wasn't stolen, but I still believe it is. Like, it's almost like they're saying, like, I can't say this thing, because if I say this thing, I'll get kicked out of the group. Or if I say this thing, I'll have to admit that what I believe isn't the truth, and that will shatter my reality. In my opinion, there's a whole spectrum of Trump supporters, but I would say like the majority of Trump supporters that at least I interact with and the ones that I watch are in some way brainwashed to the point that they can never make a decision that is anti-Trump. They can say, some of them can say like Trump has done some things wrong. Some people can say that Trump has lied. But almost all of them have some excuse for why it's okay that he does it. And they can never make like an anti-Trump decision. And that's what I think makes them a cult. Like if Kamala Harris did 10% of what Trump is accused of doing, I couldn't support her. If Joe Biden did 10% of what Donald Trump is accused of doing, I couldn't support him. Like, it just, like, there's a part of me that is like, you have to stand on your morals. You have to, if you say these things, that's who you are as a person. And even if you're wrong for now, like, you can get new information to correct yourself. But you're wrong at that point, and you need to, admit that you're wrong. As you guys have, if you guys watch my show long enough, you guys have seen me say something, be corrected by chat, and then say, oh, okay, I was wrong about that. I'm sorry. I was wrong about that. Redonk is not a Trump supporter. I know that that's probably my fault.
So this is a graphic that I have
fun
on
of
my
him, freedomofmind.com
website. It's in the Cult of Trump. And I have a more detailed one for the Cult of Trump, actually. It's black and white. But most people in any cult are what I call fringe members. They align, but they still have some sense of self, and they may be saying what they want to say in order to be in the in-group. Very different than the core followers who would kill on command, die on command, do whatever they're told.
And what's really trippy about this is in the reading into that book, the Broken Badges and White Robes book, the Ku Klux Klan is also very much like what he's showing here. There are people that are considered supporters, and then there are people that are considered soldiers, and then there are people that are considered core members, and then there are people that are considered like management within the KKK. Like, it's really trippy to know that there's like these like certain like fringe members that are like, they're like, they believe they're not racist, even though they are in some way connected to one of the most racist groups in America. And they'll find excuses, find reasons for why it's okay. It's really trippy. What's up, He Hurts?
Think that they need to do a civil war, for example. And what I've learned as a mental health professional, frankly, is to treat each person with respect as an individual and actually have engaged, respectful, curious conversations where you ask questions that encourage people to think for themselves.
And so that's the Socratic method. It's like you have to be able to listen. And that's like one of the things that I have to get better at. Like I'm too much on the side of like giving information instead of asking for information and listening. So I have to get better and better at that. Comical says, if Kamala was Trump's vice president instead of Biden's, how would you feel about her given she acted the same as she did with Biden? If Kamala was Trump's vice president, it would be like a really like conflictual relationship. I don't know if you guys heard it, but during the debate, Kamala either misspoke or she meant it in a way that like maybe she's inferring that he could have a position, but she said something along the lines, and you can look this up by finding it in the transcript in the debate. She said something along the lines of, if you were in my administration, or if you had a position in my administration, like kind of almost like an olive branch, at least what I discerned from what she said. And that made me think about exactly that question, to be honest, is how would I feel if Kamala Harris reached out to Trump and said, hey, like, let bygones be bygones. It looks like you're getting parole or probation. You're not going to go to prison for the things. It looks like these other cases have dropped, whatever. how would I feel about that? And I think I feel two ways about that. I feel like, obviously, what I want the most for America is for America to become unified. But I also want to always feel like we stand on a foundation of values and morality. And so it would be hard to convince me, unless our judicial system agreed that he was innocent, that he would deserve the right to do that. And so I would not be in support of that. I would be in support of bringing in other conservatives that have values that might not be 100% in line with my values, but that could bring maybe America a little bit closer to being more unified, that also would not interfere with my left-wing progressive values. Like, my progressive values, I think, are my most important values. That's why I call this channel Progressive Matters, is because I believe in equality for all. I believe in equity. I believe in DEI, diversity. DEI is stupid as far as like that term. I believe in diversity. And I guess I'm saying all the values just one at a time, right? But I do believe diversity isn't just a good thing just for equity. I actually believe that it's actually one of the best and strongest economic drivers in our society is diversity. I think that you can't have a successful America without diversity. And I know that this is going to put me in the centrist area, but you can't have diversity without some portion of conservatives' ideology, because whether you like it or not, they make up 47% of America, and that you're not going to just kick out every conservative. You're not going to just force every conservative to believe the things you believe. You're not going to you have to find some balance somewhere in there. So how would I feel if Kamala was Trump's vice president? I don't think that it would change my opinion as far as voting, because the vice president is kind of like a formal role. It's not like anything. It's like a ceremonial role almost. They don't do much other than like going overseas whenever the president's busy. They are the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. They do get given certain like jobs to do by the president. So I would say most likely I still wouldn't vote for Trump, because Kamala would not actually be in any way like effectual for Trump. But yeah, that's what I would probably say. Dark Cash says he said he was voting for Trump a month before Joe dropped out. I don't think that he's ever said he's voted for Trump, but I'll let Redonk speak for himself. As I understand it, that he never said he was going to vote for Trump, but maybe he is. I don't know. Oh, good night, Nana. Appreciate you, Nana. Thank you for being here. How so you make things work with someone who denies reality? That's what Andrew just said. How do you make things work with someone who denies reality? Andrew's saying that. So that's like a really good question, but it's also a question that can't be avoided, because we have to also not deny reality. We cannot deny that what we currently have in our society is a strong effect from mental illness, in my opinion. When you're talking about the doomers and you're talking about the MAGA like cult members, you have a very like wide spectrum of conservatism that goes everywhere from like I just don't like taxes to the very religious right, which believes that like we should like be under like Christian nationalism and stuff like that, which I 100% don't agree, and in no way will find any place where I'm willing to give other than like freedom of religion and stuff like that. I obviously believe in freedom of religion, but I believe in it for all religions, not just for Christianity. I also know that there's certain portions of our society that want the KKK to be the government. I do believe, obviously, that you can't be inclusive of all ideologies. So that's a really good question. That's a really good question. How do you deal with people that don't want to? What I would say, so what I would say to that is I would say you have to get the most people that agree with you and your ideology on your side. And that's even the people that only agree with certain amounts of your ideology. So like this guy's little sphere he has there with the circles, right? Like your core is all the people that like are the closest to your values. Like it's very rare for you to meet a person that embodies all the same values. You might think you know people that embody all the same values, but there's always going to be that one moment where you're like, well, no, I'm a little bit off base with you on that one. You know, it's almost like we're special little snowflakes. We're very unique individuals. So I'd say, like, you have this core of people that are really close to your values, right? And then as you expand out, you start to have people that are in line with your values, but maybe you're willing to go to like physical violence to assert things, and they're not. Maybe you're willing to be dishonest to get what you want, but they're not, right? And so that you expand out a little bit, and those are people that are going to mostly agree with you, but those people are also people that might have some like pretty significant reasons to not agree with you on certain subjects. Like I know liberal people that are pro-life, but they're pro-life in the way of like they would never have an abortion. They don't want to tell anybody else how to do it, but they do not agree that people should have abortions. I know that sounds weird, but there are liberal people that feel that way. And then as you get out to like the third circle, you're probably looking at people that are like not really all that political. They're aligned more with your values because like intuitively they like what you're saying. They like equality. They're the type of people that go, but does diversity actually work? These are people that don't really think very hard, and these are what Angela Knight called snorkelers, people that just go right below the surface. And then as you expand further and further out, you start to get to, people that have conservative values that aren't in line with your values, but aren't like aggressively against your values, and those people could work with you. So what I would say, my long explanation to this, is that the best way to deal with people that completely disagree with what you believe and deny reality, those people, you have to outnumber them by being as inclusive as possible of people that are close to your values without those values being, what is the word for it? You don't want to give up those values, okay? I can't think of the word right now. You don't want those values to be put at risk. Those values are your core. They are what make you who you are. You should not give up those values. You should always stand on those values unless you're corrected and find information that changes your mind. But those people, you want to bring in as many people to have like a super majority of people that agree with your values to deal with the people like the KKK, like misogynist red pill people, people that I will never, ever be able to actually agree with. Andrew says, how many concessions were given for the ACA and then how many Republicans voted for it in the end? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying is that like those were enough people that really like agreed in, for the most part, jeopardize is what I was going to say. You don't want to jeopardize your values. Your values are you. So, you shouldn't jeopardize your values. Andrew says, these are the same people that go back to the 90s and abortion. Yeah, like I said, once you get to that far circle, there is no, in my opinion, there's certain people that I'm never going to be able to make happy, and I'm not going to try. But I do feel like existing in a society of 350 million people, you have to be able to expand outside of your center sphere. Like, it's too small. Like a group of people that small trying to influence that many other people is, like, in my opinion, a really bad idea. Andrew says, then if I need a majority, I can completely ignore all of the MAGA types. Yeah, no, I actually, I agree with that. Yeah, you can put the MAGA cult, KKK, and Tea Party in the middle for that one. Yeah. Andrew says, it's really about wording. Obamacare is hated, but the ACA... Yeah, I know, I agree with that. That's the people I said were in, the third sphere. There are people that if you say, do you like Obamacare? And they say no. If you say, do you like the Affordable Care Act? They say yes. Yeah, I'm arguing for what Obama did. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I wouldn't say... I think Obama, though I dislike what he did with corporations, I dislike how much he reached out. I also agree that it was necessary. Like, I don't like the bank bailouts, but I also agree that they were necessary, right? Like, my boss said it the other day. He said it was necessary, but it was still bullshit. And that's the truth. It was necessary. That doesn't mean it wasn't bullshit. It's still the fact that small companies can go under and nobody gives a shit. The fact that mid-sized companies can go under and no one gives a shit, but a big business is too big to fail. That's bullshit, but it also is too big to fail. It's fucking annoying, but it is true. Compromise. There you go. Tiki, thank you so much. Not jeopardize. I was looking for compromise. Thank you, Tiki. Yes. I am arguing against what I have been saying. You have to tell me exactly. I say a lot of things, Andrew. Say a lot. All right, we got to finish this video because I have to go upstairs. I could probably sit here and talk about this stuff for like the entire night.
And what I see in the media are people going to Trump rallies, putting a microphone, being self-identified as a media person, and the way they're asking questions is going to elicit a cultic framework. And I talk
And is that
about
a defense mechanism to a degree, that they see this person from the media, they're coming in, I perceive them as maybe challenging me, or...
And that's because they've been trained. They've been literally trained when they see media to know that's the enemy. They've been taught that media is the enemy.
or my beliefs, and therefore I am going to recite the things I'm supposed to recite?
Not consciously. So
okay, you guys are gonna just make me. I will answer questions for the rest of the night. How about that? And then we'll watch the video again some other time. If you guys have any questions, ask them now before I get off. That sounded weird. Comical says meritocracy versus DEI. Oh, Andrew's gonna be so mad at this answer. Both. So I think one of the biggest misnomers when it comes to DEI is that people believe that the people that are being given jobs, that are being given positions, given opportunities, have not in any way have the experience, the abilities. They haven't earned them, right? Like they believe that DEI means give a job to somebody because of their ethnicity. But that's not the case. That's never really the case in anything that I've ever looked into. The majority of DEI hires, as I understand them, are basically, and I guess it depends on what industry you're also talking about. Like I said, all of these conversations are really big ideas that can't be reduced down to just saying one or the other is good. I believe having it's like when I talk about capitalism, right? Like, do I think capitalism is the strongest economic driver? Yes. Do I think that capitalism will also lead to a society that is going to create a wealth gap between the ultra wealthy and the middle class that is unsustainable and will also lead to revolt, riots, to people like potentially something like communism? I also believe that. So you have to have an ability to patch in socialism into capitalism to create social safety nets for people so they feel safe. But you also have to remember that if you don't patch in social safety nets for the middle class and the upper middle class as well, that you're really still creating that ultra wealthy gap, right? So like, I'm a big fan of George Orwell. I really like George Orwell. I think that George Orwell's a democratic socialist. I think that Bernie Sanders is closest to a democratic socialist. And I would say that a lot of the things that I believe are probably more in tune with democratic socialism than I would even say they are progressivism. I would say that it's closer to working within the democratic system to have socialist ideals placed amongst democratic ideals to create things like social safety nets. So when you say meritocracy or DEI, I think that we have to have competitiveness. I think we have to have something similar to a free market that is regulated, that does have things like antitrust laws that hold it to account, that has things like third party, like the FTC, that is not beholden to certain government officials that can go out and hold these people accountable. So I think that there has to be an element of competition that's still regulated, which is where you would get things like DEI from. So yeah, you're going to hate me for that answer, but that's my answer. Andrew says, we effectively bought the companies, but for some reason we just let them walk away with little no consequences. I'm not sure. Did you say something before that? I'm not sure what you mean there. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, Andrew. I don't think... So Andrew says, having to just fill in a box is a bad thing. I believe people should have work ethic and so forth. And so, yeah, King Bernie. So I agree with that. That is what I'm saying, is that, like, you can't, in my opinion, you can't have one without the other. I really think that, like, one of our biggest problems with our society is that people are stuck on definitions. They're stuck on semantics. And there really is, like, my whole life has been based on balance, right? Like, knowing that there's a time when I had to be physically violent to defend myself, and knowing that there were times where me being physically violent was actually the wrong thing. Like, that I was, like, you can become a person that believes that the best answer to all questions is to do the easiest thing, and that is to hurt the other person, right? So, like, for a long time when I was a kid growing up, like, it was an insult to be intelligent. Like, people around me would say things like, oh, you think you're more intelligent than me? Because it's a repression of competition when you grow up in, like, a ghetto, when you grow up in the hood, when you grow up in the trailer park. They want to repress your competitiveness, because if they can repress your competitiveness, then that's one less person for them to deal with, one person less for them to compete. And so I had to realize that being intelligent put me on a level that concerned those people, and that's why they repressed it. And so I had to find that balance between both being able to physically be capable of defending myself when necessary, and also when it was time to be, like, an intelligent person, to use my words to talk my way out of situations or try to de-escalate situations. So I think the problem that we have in society a lot of times is that we're constantly getting caught up in definitions and semantics. We're saying, what is a republic? What is a constitutional republic? What is a democratic republic? What is a pure democracy? And those things are all actually really important to know the definitions of them. But it's both knowing the definitions and also understanding that you don't have to stay stuck in a lane. So I feel it's appropriate for me to say something like capitalism really is the best indicator of meritocracy being a good thing. Capitalism shows, at least we have shown as Americans, we're very unique. That's another thing to remember, is America is very unique, incredibly unique. But America and capitalism have shown that meritocracy can lead to some insane innovations, can lead to some crazy gains materialistically. But also, when you take something like DEI, which seems like it's anti-capitalism, it's not. When you look at it in an economic form, diversity is actually really, really important. So if you say to me, you have a person that is Caucasian, that is wealthy, that already is employed in my business, and then you say to me, well, you can also have this Hispanic person, this Latino person, that has a middle-class background, or even better, an immigrant background, that also has the same merits as the rich Caucasian person, without the step up, without all the stuff that has brought them to where they are, because they had a silver spoon, for lack of a better term. Or I can have another person just like that wealthy Caucasian person. Well, no, I want that immigrant. I want the immigrant with that background. And that has very little to do with, how do I say this? It has more to do with their life experience than with the color of their skin. It has more to do with what formed them as a person, their culture, the gender they express, their sexuality, even within, like, a Caucasian thing, right? Like, I would want poor Caucasians and I would want wealthy Caucasians, because I want to have as many diverse points of view at all times. So that way, at any point, if somebody were to say to me, We have this issue, and we need to solve it, or our business is going to go under. I want to know that there's somebody within my team that I can go to that is going to be the best person to speak to about that. So if we're talking about African Americans and I have nothing but Caucasians and they're all wealthy Caucasians, then my ability to solve that problem is inhibited by the team of people that I employ. So that's a very long explanation. But as far as like meritocracy and DEI goes, I don't think that they have to be separate. I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a both question in almost all of these things. Comical says, but let's say you have very similar candidates, but the DEI is a little worse, but HR is telling you to increase diversity. Do you believe this is good? So the fallacy in that comical is that the very reason that HR would be telling you that a DEI hire is needed is for the very things that I am saying. If someone comes to you from HR and says, look, you have these two candidates, they're exactly the same, except for one is a Hispanic person or a Latino person, and the other person is a Caucasian. There are no Latinos that work here. The best business decision is to hire that Latino. Once again, because they're going to have different cultural experiences. Even if you have a Latino that grew up wealthy around Caucasians, they're still going to have parents. They're still going to have grandparents that influence their life. And this is something, like I said, that people get wrong about DEI. People think DEI from the point of view of the people that are running it, people that support capitalism, people that support economic growth, people that are from the ultra wealthy are doing it for humanitarian reasons. And I'm not saying they're not. People like Bernie Sanders, in my opinion, do certain things for humanitarian reasons. But if you ask me if Joe Biden 20 years ago was doing something for humanitarian reasons or economic reasons, 100% I'd tell you he's doing it for economic reasons. When people talk about the COVID lockdowns, so many people say the COVID lockdowns did all these terrible things and it wasn't good for people. They said it was good for people. No, it wasn't good for people. It wasn't meant to be good for people. That might have been what they sold you and you might have bought that. But COVID lockdowns were good for the economy. They were good because if we were to have an extended period of time where our economy was not running, we would not be doing the best out of any country in the world coming out of the pandemic. But instead, regardless of all the inefficiencies and ineffectiveness that happened during COVID, things were flawed. Instead, we locked down people, we quarantined people, we vaccinated people, and the economy got back up into running in an appropriate amount of time. I wouldn't say it was the best amount of time. I wouldn't say it's the worst amount of time. I'd say it's an appropriate amount of time. But those are all like misnomers. People tend to buy into the fact that this is a humanitarian thing. It's not. It's an economical thing. So like when I say that about what you're saying about candidates being the same, there is a multitude of factors that come in. Can I say one thing, though? Let's see. I do agree with that, Doc, that all people should have to travel abroad. One thing I will say where I do think DEI is actually not a great thing is, and I've heard this recently, I don't know how widespread this is, so I'm not going to, take it with a grain of salt kind of stuff. But specifically in colleges and stuff like that, where obviously there's like the Asian factor where they talk about the fact that like certain Asians were like being, people were being prejudiced against them because there's too many Asians at Harvard or whatever it is, right? Other than that, there are certain very anecdotal stories where people say that they were in a college and the person was talking to them, another student was talking to them, and they're African American. And the person would ask them, probably a conservative prick, but somebody would ask them, how do you feel about being led into this college because of DEI? And the African American guy that was telling a story said, I got really upset about it. I said to the person, that's bullshit. I wasn't let in because of DEI. I was let in because I had the grades to get into this college. That's why I'm here. And then he said after a while, he started to think about it, and it had an adverse effect on his confidence because he started to think about it and say to himself, well, hold on. What if I am only here because of DEI? So there are negative effects. Like I said, there's nothing in this world that will ever be exclusively black or white. There will always be things that are wrong with any idea. And it's really about what positives something brings to something, and if they outweigh the negatives. It's a lot like what I tell people when they're having a hard time making a decision. Like I have an employee, and that employee comes to me and says, I'm thinking about quitting this job because I have an opportunity at another job, but I really like working here. I really like working with you. I don't know that I want to quit. I don't actually like influence that person to stay because I think that's the wrong thing to do. Instead, what I tell them to do is make a list of pros and cons. And I say, if at the end, when you're done making your list of pros and cons, if staying here has more pros than cons, then that's probably what you want to do. And if leaving here has more pros than cons, then that's probably what you want to do. And I look at it the same way when it comes to legislation. I look at it the same way as I look at policies. I look at it the same way when I look at candidates. I'm constantly weighing, does this have a greater chance of a positive outcome, or does it have a greater chance of a negative outcome? And I know most people are going to go, yeah, of course, that's what we all do. But I think that most people try to do it intuitively. And I don't try to do it intuitively. I try to do it analytically. I try to look at things and parse out the different things, the different factors within those things to make a decision that isn't based on my gut feeling. It's partially based on my gut feeling, but also it has a foundation in actual information. Comic says, there were countries that didn't do lockdowns and wore masks and had basically no infections, so I don't think it was as necessary. So the problem with that comic is, once again, is that's really reductive, right? So like a lot of times when I've looked at information that people have shown me on other countries, they're either like way smaller or take this for example. North Dakota has something like 10 people for every square mile in North Dakota. So it's very sparsely populated. And then you have California, which has 30% higher population than the next biggest state, which is Texas. So in California, we have 39 million people. In Texas, they have 30 million people. So if you were to say California did X, Y, and Z when it came to COVID, and then when we look at North Dakota didn't do any of those things and had a far better outcome. Well, that's an apple to oranges fallacy. That is attempting to reduce something down to these certain things that we did are the same if you apply them to this other situation. And that doesn't always work. You have to be able to, like I said, you're never going to get to a point where really in most of these situations, it's going to be apples to apples. It's going to almost always come down to an individual plan for each country. It's going to come down, in my opinion, it should have came down to individual states. And this is where we start getting into like states' rights, right? This is where like a COVID denier would be like, and that's why like we should have been able to decide. And that's probably true, but it's not ultimately true. There are times when the federal government must intervene with state rights. And there are times when the federal government should stay the fuck out of it because states' rights actually are the best case scenario. Somewhere like North Dakota probably should not be under the same quarantine or mask mandate, whatever you had going on, as somewhere like California should be. That doesn't make sense. And that's why like blanket statements and reductive like terminology or reductive thinking doesn't work. And that's why like I even agree with people when they get into like the state of Jefferson shit. There are certain ideals of the state of Jefferson that do make sense when you talk about reducing government down to smaller and smaller areas. But unfortunately, I think the cons of something like the state of Jefferson far outweigh the pros of the state of Jefferson. Andrew says, statistically, white women benefited more than Asians in college admissions. That's something I'd like to get into. I'd like to look into that. And also admitting that you don't have all the information is also very important. I think that's like something that's extremely bad about our society is like, I look at that statement and immediately I say to myself, I don't have the correct information to talk about that subject. I should say something along the lines of like, okay, that's very interesting, and it's also something that's probably pertinent to the things I'm speaking about, so I should look into that information, but trying to comment on it right now is just, it's not the right thing to do. Okay. Now you guys are talking to each other, so that's expected. Comical says it was basically mandated to wear mask and temperature check at every job. Not sure if same policy would work in U.S. though. Yeah, like I said, you would have to give me like this is the problem with me, and I get it. It's frustrating for people. Talking to me is very frustrating for people because most people want me to be willing to just give like a basic answer and just be like, yeah, that's my answer. Like if you had a gun to your head right now, what would you choose, kind of thing. And that's not really how I operate. I was even saying this to my wife earlier. I'm like, in some ways, it's kind of like to my detriment that I know as much as I know about certain subjects, because it makes it so that I can't have like interactions with people where I can just let things go. So for instance, yesterday I came in pretty hot on the debate yesterday. I was ready to fight all Trumpers in the debate at the chat, because I was made aware that there was going to be like 4 or 5 Trumpers, and I thought this was going to be like me outnumbered against everybody. And so I'm like preparing, I'm looking up all the statistics, I'm getting everything in my head, and then when I walk into the debate, figuratively, a guy that I'm friends with on the internet, Mr. Mandrell, and a person who is a progressive-esque lefter that I should probably agree with pretty much in most of the things that we believe. Both of them said something that I completely disagreed with, and almost immediately I was like, you're incorrect about that, and I will debate you on that any day that you'd like to. And unfortunately, that's not like really the correct way to go about things. In that case, I should have been better about allowing them to talk and say the things that they believe to get a more well-rounded view on the things that they believe in, because what that did was almost immediately make them shut down, because they're like, okay, bro, you probably know more about this than I do, so I'm not going to argue with you about this. And that's not the way to have a conversation of any real value. But like in many ways, like knowing as much about politics that I do know nowadays is actually kind of detrimental to being able to have good conversations, because I tend to call out smaller things instead of letting them go. All right, you guys are talking to each other now. How long is that? What time is it? Oh, it's 8:30. I have to go. I have a family. I have to go talk to them. 3.5 hours is about the end of my time. I see you guys are having a good conversation though, so I really like that. I mean, I know that some of the things like you guys might, some shit might make you mad, but that's okay though. That's what you're supposed to do. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. There's nothing that I enjoy more than seeing you guys talk to each other and have real conversations about things rather than fighting over things, eating our own. I love that you guys ask me questions. I really think that like I could get on here and not watch a single video and just have you guys ask me questions, because there's no time. Like it's like dopamine for me. Like some people need heroin, some people need crack, some people need alcohol, some people need weed. Like I need to make my brain work. Like that's what makes me happy. Like there are too many times in my life, because the job I have, though it is like a mental load, it's not like an overly mental load for me. So I have to create things in my job to keep me motivated and have purpose. And when I don't, I stagnate and I get really upset. I become very bitchy. And so like you guys don't understand, like you guys are my therapy, to be 100% with you. When I come on this channel and you ask me questions and make me use the thought process, and hours later I'll be thinking about this and I'll go, I was wrong about that and Andrew was right. I was wrong about that and Comic was right. I do think about things long afterwards and do make decisions to change my mind. So I appreciate you guys. I'm super thankful for you guys. Let's see. So just so you guys know, schedule right now, because it's football season, because it's soccer season, the other football for my kid. The stream schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, Saturday at 11 or noon-ish in the morning because I have to go to soccer games at night. So if you're interested in being here, that's when we're streaming. We do have the vice presidential debate coming up, I think, in 2 weeks. So that's going to be really exciting. I think Matt Walls is going to absolutely destroy JD Vance to anybody with a brain. I think it's going to be great. If you guys are interested in supporting me financially and you're not from Russia, Levon, I didn't call you out. I saw earlier. Thank you, Levon, so much for the 2-month sub, dude. I appreciate you, Levon. You've been here for a long time, and I really do appreciate you. Yeah, if you want to join my channel like Levon did, it's $3 a month, 10 cents a day. You can do that by going to my channel, or actually you're in my channel right now. There's a join button underneath my video. You can click the join button. I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot of perks to it. You're just literally just helping me out with $3 a month. And you get a couple emojis that I made like one day when I had a wild hair up my ass. The other way you can always support my channel is always through super chats or by donating to the channel by going to progressivematters.com/home. And donating to my PayPal. My PayPal's my preferred way of doing that because they don't take 50% of everything I make, which YouTube does. And of course, the best way that you can support me, because I know that there are people out there that are not financially capable of supporting my channel, is to go to my channel, to click on videos, to like the videos, to comment on the videos, good or bad, doesn't matter, to share the videos, and just show up and be here and ask me questions. Really appreciate all of you guys. I love you guys. I'm super thankful for you guys. Kamala dog walked Trump. 100%. All right, guys. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time.